13%. Chapter 41 Blood Wolf Mercenary Group. Chen Daojun nodded and said, "If you want to form a force, you can, but you can't be too far away from Dream River City. Come back every half a month to get training resources." Chen Shang nodded immediately. Yes. The background itself is also an advantage. If you completely give up this advantage and compete fairly with others, you will be really stupid. Although they have 2 golden core phases, this kind of strength is also very ordinary. It is too difficult to really grow up and be completely independent on their own. Chen Daojun continued. "Since you want to do it, make a good achievement and don't let me down." Chen Shang looked serious and his voice was sonorous and powerful. "Patriarch, don't worry, we will definitely not lose face to the Chen family." Chen Daojun nodded. "Go." Chen Shang and Chen Jin looked at each other, saluted Chen Daojun again, and then turned to leave. After walking out of Chen's house, the two of them quickly left Meng City. Chen Daojun said slowly, "Feng Ling, you go and guard them. If their lives are in danger, you take action." Feng Ling stood up, nodded humanely, and then disappeared in place in an instant. Although Chen Daojun didn't mind them going to practice, he didn't like the Chen families going to die. There are only so many direct descendants of the Chen family, and if one dies, there will be one less. Chen Daojun also began to look forward to it, hoping to see what these people will look like in the future. Then he looked in another direction and said helplessly, "Chen Yi, this little girl is also very strong." After he broke through the nascent soul middle stage, the range of the divine sense also increased a lot, and it could cover the entire North City. He saw Chen Yi leaving from the North City, still wearing night clothes, heading in the direction of the Black Forest. Thinking of the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce she opened recently, it is easy to guess what she is going to do. Montenegro camp. Forget it. Fortunately nothing happened. I'll go out for a walk too. Chen Daojun stood up. His figure disappeared instantly, and chased in Chen Yi's direction. Now he feels like an old father, and these children of the Chen family are like uneasy children. Chen Daojun shook his head. It's normal for anyone to let himself be the head of the family, worry about it. Montenegro camp. Although Chen Yi has never left Dream River City before, she is not stupid. She knows the rules of survival in this world, and she knows how dangerous the Black Mountain camp is. That's why the night clothes she wore were all loose, covering her figure. She also grabbed 2 handfuls of ashes, wiped a little on her face, and then covered her face again. It can be said to be extremely cautious. Even Chen Daojun, who was watching secretly, couldn't help giving a thumbs up. Steady enough. Chen Daojun observed the Montenegro camp. There was a nascent soul cultivator inside, but it was only a nascent soul early stage. Now that I have practiced the ghost step, and his cultivation base is stronger, the opponent can't find him at all. In front of the Montenegro camp. Stop. 2 shirtless, muscular men stretched out their hands to stop Chen Yi. 10 low-grade spirit stones at a time, don't know the rules, and don't have any self-consciousness at all. Chen Yi said in a rough voice, a little curious and apologetic. "I'm sorry, it's my first time here, I don't understand the rules." After she finished speaking, she handed over 10 low-grade spirit stones. I have to say that Chen Yi made perfect details, even her fingers were wrapped in black cloth. Chen Yi is also very self-conscious about herself. Although she can't be called beautiful, she still has some pretty looks. In a place like the Montenegro camp, try to avoid some troubles if you can. The muscular man sneered. "With your outfit, you don't look like a novice, why are you pretending to be young?" They worked as guards in the Montenegro camp. No one had ever seen them before. Those fledgling chicks could be seen at a glance. But the person in front of him is so experienced, he doesn't look like that kind of young man. Hearing this, Chen Yi didn't say much, she just arched her cupped hands, and then turned around and entered the Montenegro camp. The Montenegro camp did not live up to its notoriety. As soon as we walked in, we could smell a faint smell of blood in the air. Chen Yi was still a little nervous, but she kept taking deep breaths to regulate her own emotions. After all, it was the first time to travel far, and it was still in a place like the Montenegro camp, so it was impossible not to be nervous. After inquiring for a while, Chen Yi walked towards the market in the Black Mountain camp. The market in the Black Mountain camp initially only sold heavenly and mortal treasures obtained from the Black Forest, as well as various parts of demonic beasts. But up to now, the things sold have been extremely comprehensive, including population, medicine pill, weapons, including various heavenly and mortal treasures, everything that one expects to find. Many people will bring some looted treasures here to sell. In the sky, Chen Daojun couldn't help shaking his head. Although it is very cautious, it is still not perfect. Obviously, Chen Yi is now being targeted. The reason why he was targeted was because of the person he asked for directions. From his perspective, after Chen Yi asked for directions, the man did not leave, but quietly followed Chen Yi about 100 meters behind. And it seems to be a gang. Almost every once in a while, another person will continue to follow. There are a group of people in the Black Mountain camp who make a living by robbing. They wander around the Black Mountain camp to pick suitable prey. And Chen Yi directly asked about the location of the market, with a strong purpose. She was here to buy something, and then pack the package tightly. With such an attitude, it is very likely that the value of the things you buy is not low, otherwise there is no need to do so. From the perspective of Chen Daojun, one can think of these problems, but how could those wolves, tigers and leopards who walk here every day not see it? Soon, Chen Yi began to choose in the market. There are only a dozen or so shops in the entire market, and the others are selling things on the ground, and I sit on the sidelines to sell them. Chen Yi is very cautious. She never buys a lot of things at one time, nor does she stay in one place for too long to avoid being watched. Hello, how much is the blood lingzi mushrooms and blood net jade? Facing Chen Yi's inquiry, a middle-aged man opened his eyes, and then said lightly, blood lingzi mushrooms 300 low-grade spirit stones, shui wangyu 1100 low-grade spirit stones. Chen Yi nodded immediately. I bought them all. The middle-aged man nodded, then took out a black cloth and covered their hands. This is the unspoken rule of buying things in the Montenegro camp market, and it is also a means of protecting buyers. Under the black cloth, Chen Yi paid the spirit stones to the other party, and then the middle-aged man also handed the items to her. After the transaction, the middle-aged man whispered, Fellow Taoist, be careful, you are being targeted by wolves. Chen Yi was stunned for a moment, but soon realized what the other party meant. Her eyes were a little dignified. Even though she was so cautious, she was still being targeted. However, she didn't fully believe what the person in front of her said. She just stood up and said, Thank you for reminding me. After finishing speaking, Chen Yi stood up directly, and just as she was about to leave, the middle-aged man spoke again via voice transmission. Fellow Taoist, I am the head of the Blood Wolf mercenary group, Golden Core period return to origin cultivation base. I've seen you shopping 5 times in this street. You've been shopping in different places. If you're so cautious, you must have bought a lot of things. Why don't you hire our mercenary group to keep you safe and sound in this Montenegro camp? 13%. Chapter 42 Cooperation. Hearing the sound transmission from the middle-aged man, Chen Yi's heart was shocked. She was already so cautious, but she was still spotted by the person in front of her eyes. Are the people here so smart? The Montenegro camp is also too dangerous. However, she also judged from the sound transmission of the other party that the head of the Blood Wolf mercenary group seemed to have no malice towards her. Chen Yi did not leave, but asked via sound transmission, What's your name? The middle-aged man's voice sounded in her mind, Shu Kui. Then Chen Yi glanced around, and she didn't find any familiar aura following her from the beginning to the end. Out of caution, she asked again, How many spirit stones does it take to protect me? She didn't fully trust Chen Kui, so she planned to find out first. Shu Kui immediately said via voice transmission, Our Blood Wolf mercenary group, even in the entire Montenegro camp, can rank among the top 3 in terms of strength, and hire as 100,000 low-rank spirit stones a day. Although the price is not cheap, you can have a guarantee here, and we can cooperate for a long time. If you need to buy things in the future, or need materials, my Blood Wolf mercenary group can do it for you. Of course, there is a fee for these. In the Montenegro camp, not everyone likes black and white, and some people do regular business. Just like the Blood Wolf mercenary group, they have undertaken a lot of jobs in Dream River City, and they can earn a lot of spirit stones every month, so their strength is also extremely strong. Although doing regular business, individual income is not as fast as direct robbery, but this is a long-term stable income, which is much better than robbery, and the risk is not high. Coupled with the strength of the Blood Wolf mercenary group, very few people in the Montenegro camp were willing to offend them, and they were able to do these things like ducks in water. Chen Yi frowned. She was not sure if what Shu Kui said was true or not. What if he also cheats? Chen Yi is still relatively inexperienced in survival, and she is a little flustered about such a thing, not knowing how to deal with it. If you make a wrong decision, your life is really in danger. After hesitating for a while, Chen Yi asked again, the cooperation that fellow Taoist mentioned before, have you helped other people do it? Shu Kui responded, of course. Chen Yi asked, in that case, have you heard of the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce? Shu Kui's face was calm, and it's normal to be cautious in this kind of place, so he didn't look impatient when facing Chen Yi's question. Of course I know, Chen Yi is the direct descendant of the Chen family and opened it. Chen Yi continued to ask, has the fellow Taoist cooperated with this Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce? Hearing this, Shu Kui said speechlessly, this is the Chamber of Commerce of the Chen family. With such a powerful force, how can they cooperate with a little golden core like me? The matter of the Chen family has been rumored from Meng City recently. The Montenegro camp was not far from Dream River City, and he would occasionally enter and leave Dream River City, so how could he not know about this kind of thing? The Chen family has the divine transformation stage, and there are several nascent soul stage powerhouses. If they wanted to come to the Montenegro camp to buy something, would anyone dare to rob them? It's too long. Even if the Chen family really wanted to cooperate, they would cooperate with that nascent soul from the Black Mountain camp, not him. Chen Yi turned her head to look, and her voice returned to normal. Then you have a chance now. Hearing the soft and delicate voice in his head, Shu Kui's eyes narrowed, and he immediately reacted. He turned his head and looked at Chen Yi firmly. Fellow Taoist, is this a joke? Are you from the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce? Chen Yi's voice sounded again. Of course I'm not joking. Shu Kui looked a little dignified. He kept looking at Chen Yi. The Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce is run by the direct descendants of the Chen family. If you really want to come to the Black Mountain camp to buy something, you need to be so cautious. Just send someone to protect it, and you will be safe. Shu Kui asked, what's your name? Chen Yi said slowly, Chen Yi. She chose to disclose her identity directly, because she was not sure whether the person in front of her would be black or not. So I want to rely on the Chen family to frighten the other party. Moreover, the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce will develop in the future, either by cultivating a mercenary group, or by choosing to cooperate with a mercenary group. But it takes a lot of time to cultivate, so the latter is obviously easier. This Shu Kui's strength is barely enough, so he is very suitable to cooperate with them. Shu Kui's heart was shocked, and a look of disbelief flashed in his eyes. It was hard to believe that the person in front of him was Chen Yi, a descendant of the Chen family. The treasurer of the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce. There is no point in impersonating Chen Yi's identity. Anyway, if you ask me to do something, just give me spirit stones. But he couldn't figure out why the other party wanted such a person to come to the Montenegro camp. There was another interesting news in Dream River City before. That is, when Chen Yi first established the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce, no one knew her identity, and the store was smashed down. But that man is dead now. Is it just that you are born to be strong and don't want your family to help? Shu Kui could only attribute it to this reason, otherwise the person in front of him would be pretending to be Chen Yi. Chen Yi said again, I can give you 300,000 low-grade spirit stones, first pay you 150,000 low-grade spirit stones, wait for you to send me back to Dream River City, and then give you the remaining 100,000 spirit stones. But I ask that no matter what happens, you must protect my safety. How? At the beginning, Chen Daojun gave her a lot of spirit stones, and later took a lot of medicine pills to the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce. After selling everything, she now has nearly 7 or 8 million spirit stones in total. 300,000 low-grade spirit stones, just a drizzle. Seeing that she was so generous, Shu Kui didn't bother to care about her identity, so she immediately promised. Don't worry, with my Blood Wolf mercenary group, no one can touch you in this Montenegro camp. Upon hearing this, Chen Yi immediately turned around and threw out a universe bag. After Shu Kui took it, he took a look, and his eyes suddenly showed surprise. It was really 150,000 spirit stones. He didn't talk nonsense, and immediately put away the things on the stall, then took out a copper bell, and shook it gently. This is a means of sending messages. There are 2 copper bells, which can be activated with a little spirit power. After being activated, another copper bell will also make a sound. This method of signaling can only be short distance and cannot transmit sound, which is very limited, but the cost is extremely low. Soon, 4 figures also appeared, and the aura of each of them was extremely strong. 4 golden core cultivators, 1 golden core late stage, 1 middle stage, and 2 early stages. Chen Yi squinted her eyes. As expected of being in this Black Mountain camp, her strength is indeed very strong. The leader was a rough man, and he asked Shu Kui, "Boss, what's wrong?" Shu Kui smiled and said, "We have a guest." Then he told the four of Chen Yi's conditions. After listening, the rough man also raised his eyebrows. 300,000 low-grade spirit stones, which is not too small. However, he did not become greedy. The 5 brothers of their Blood Wolf mercenary group have been doing legitimate business in the Montenegro camp for many years, and they have benefited a lot. They have many long-term customers, and even several families have been looking for them for 10 years. There is no need to give up greater interests for small gains. Shu Kui said, "This is the second leader of the Blood Wolf mercenary group, Yu Chang." Chen Yi raised her cupped hands upon hearing this. Yu Chang said with a smile, "Don't worry, fellow Taoist, as long as we are here, no one can touch you in this Montenegro camp." 13%. Chapter 43. Shu Kui said with a smile, "Since the reward is also paid, the few of us will follow you in the future. If there is any danger, we will help you solve it." Chen Yi nodded, then turned and left. Shu Kui followed directly, while the remaining 4 hid in the dark. In fact, their asking price of 15 spirit stones is not considered expensive. After all, it is 5 golden core periods, and there is also a golden core period return to origin. But the time is only 1 day, and I just bought something in the Montenegro camp. The 150,000 spirit stones are almost the same as picking up for nothing. As long as I don't worry about trouble, the income is still very considerable. While walking, Shu Kui secretly asked via voice transmission, "Are you really Chen Yi from the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce?" Chen Yi's voice returned to its hoarse and heavy appearance again. "You still have to escort me back to Dream River City, is it Chen Yi? You will know when the time comes." When Shu Kui heard this, he no longer had any doubts in his heart. Speaking of this, it seems that the person in front of him is really a member of the Chen family. However, he was still very puzzled. As far as her identity as the Chen family was concerned, it was fine to announce it directly, and then walk into the Montenegro camp. With the current strength of the Chen family, who would dare to think about her? The direct descendant of the Chen family came to a place like the Black Mountain camp alone to buy goods. Who would believe it? There must be someone secretly guarding behind it. Secretly, Shu Kui glanced around suspiciously. No one is really in the dark, right? Shaking his head, "Anyway, if you don't commit greed, there will be no accidents. Don't have any bad thoughts when dealing with a behemoth like the Chen family, so that you can live a long life." Their Blood Wolf mercenary group was only 5 foundation establishment periods at the beginning. At that time, they mixed in the Montenegro camp, and they were able to grow here step by step to the present, relying on stability and hard work. Thinking of this, Shu Kui sighed. The nascent soul stage and the golden core stage are not at the same level at all. Relying on this kind of slow accumulation, I don't know how long it will take to break through. Not long after the 2 left, not far behind them, a thin man was staring coldly with narrowed eyes. Blood Wolf mercenary core. This black robe is really a fat sheep. Greed suddenly flashed in his eyes. He made himself very strict, came in to buy things so frequently, and kept changing places, obviously because he was afraid of being discovered. Generally, powerful people don't bother to do this. And if you are so cautious, there is a high probability that the things you buy are of high value. And it can be protected by the Blood Wolf mercenary group, which further shows that their judgment is correct. Not only fat sheep, but also very weak. The risk of robbing such a person is the lowest. A look of fear suddenly flashed in the thin man's eyes. The 5 members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group are very strong, and it will not be easy to take them down. "Fourth brother, what should we do?" A fat middle-aged man came over with a very unhappy expression on his face. They followed for so long, but they were taken away by the Blood Wolf mercenary group. Fatty complained again. The Blood Wolf mercenary group always does this, and now many people in the Montenegro camp have started to follow suit, making us all dead. I haven't slaughtered any fat sheep for 2 months. They are all small shrimps. If this continues, how will we live in the future? There was also a cold look in Zhao Laoxi's eyes. He snorted coldly, then turned around and said, "This matter to Guanxi Li, and I want to see how long he can get the Blood Wolf mercenary group happy." "Guard Li." Fatty looked startled, and then said hastily, "Fourth brother, after reporting to Manager Li, we may not even have a drink of soup." Li Guanxi is the manager of the Montenegro camp, and also a cultivator of the nascent soul period. As long as he is willing to make a move, the Blood Wolf mercenary group will definitely be unable to stand up. Zhao Laoxi said coldly, It's fine if you don't get it. If the Blood Wolf mercenary group doesn't let us have a good time, then they don't want to have a good time either. Fatty didn't say much after hearing the words. What Zhao Laozi said was also true. Now that several mercenary groups have started doing this, they don't dare to rob at all. Or you have to pay a bloody price. Among the mercenary groups that often hang out here, none of them are blood-licking people with extremely rich combat experience. Even if it is 2 golden core periods against the previous golden core period, one person may be replaced. Being protected by the mercenary group made them extremely uncomfortable. The other side. With Shu Kui's protection, Chen Yi became more bold in doing things. When she saw something suitable, she bought it directly. In less than half an hour, she bought nearly 2 million low-grade spirit stones. These are just raw materials, usually refined into medicine pill or magical item, and then sold. If it is only some low-level medicine pills, such as first-rank medicine pills, the profit will be much lower, and the net profit is only about 30%. If it is a medicine pill above the second rank, the profit is at least 50%, not to mention the third rank. Shu Kui followed behind him all the way, and couldn't help but smack his lips. So rich. The flower spirit stones are like flowing water. I heard that the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce has just been established, and as the shopkeeper, Chen Yi also came to the Black Mountain camp alone to buy materials. Presumably there are no mercenary groups that have cooperated yet. It would be great if we could cooperate with them. But with such a strong Chen family, they may not be able to see him in a small golden core stage. It didn't take long for Chen Yi to sweep all the way, and had already purchased nearly 4 million low-rank spirit stones items. Many people secretly looked at Chen Yi, but after seeing Shu Kui behind her, they all shook their heads and left. The Blood Wolf mercenary group is too strong, and they have been here a long time ago, so there is no need to make enemies with them. But there are also many people whose eyes are full of greed, hiding in the dark and waiting for an opportunity. After Chen Yi found out that no one dared to step forward to make trouble, she gradually became more courageous. Whenever she met a suitable one, she bought it without saying a word. This time, try to buy a 5 million low-grade spirit stones, so that you don't have to run over in a short time. Wrap up all the things I said just now. Chen Yi pointed to the items in front of her and said. The owner of the vendor, on the other hand, wrapped up the items with a smile on his face, and then handed them over. The transaction between the two is over, and they are about to look towards the next one. At this moment, the crowd suddenly dispersed. A rather elegant middle-aged man came with his hands behind his back, and there were 2 people standing beside him. One was Zhao Laozi, and the other was a man with single eyelids. Shu Kui seemed to feel something, and turned his head to look. Li Shan, seeing the person coming, his heart was shocked, and a bad feeling came to his heart. Especially when he saw that there was Zhao Laozi beside him, he became even more worried. This Zhao Laozi was in the Montenegro camp, and he was notoriously insidious and cunning. Seeing Li Shan walking straight towards them, Shu Kui immediately stood in front of them, cupped hands asked, I met Li Guanxi, I wonder if there is something wrong. Li Shan smiled lightly, glanced at Chen Yi behind him, and then asked the person next to him. You said he was the one who bought things with fake spirit stones. Exactly. The single-eyed man beside him replied immediately, then looked at Chen Yi with gloomy eyes and said. This fellow Taoist, we are all doing small business, and you pay the bill with fake spirit stones, that would be a bit unkind. Seeing this scene, many people surrounded him with great interest. No matter where you are, people like to watch the excitement. 14%. Chapter 44 Desperate Chen Yi. When Shu Kui heard this, his expression was a little gloomy. Obviously, this is Li Shan's plan to cheat. Shu Kui said gloomily. Sun Bin, right. I remember you. You can't talk nonsense in a place like the Montenegro camp. When Sun Bin heard this, a look of fear flashed across his face. He is just a foundation establishment late stage, and it can be said that he will die if he provokes such a force as the Blood Wolf mercenary group. Sun Bin suddenly hesitated. Chen Yi was also a little nervous at the moment, she sensed Li Shan's aura. Nascent soul period cultivator. She really didn't expect that she would be targeted by the nascent soul stage cultivator. She was still too careless, thinking that with Shu Kui around, she would be safe and sound. Forget that this Black Mountain camp has a nascent soul period. Li Shan said suddenly. Whether it's true or not, I'll know after I investigate. After finishing speaking, he was about to walk directly towards Chen Yi, but Shu Kui refused to budge, he said with a smile on his face. Guard Li, this matter is obviously a misunderstanding. I have been with this friend all the time. I can guarantee that I will never use fake spirit stones to buy things. Of course Shu Kui knew Li Shan's purpose. Black eat black. But their blood wolf mercenary group is in the escort industry. If Chen Yi is handed over today, who will dare to ask them to work in the future? Even if there is, it will definitely have a great impact. Seeing Shu Kui standing in front of him, Li Shan narrowed his eyes and looked a little impatient. Shu Kui, as I said, if it is clear that there is no problem, he will naturally be let go. Don't make me repeat it a third time. When it came to the end, Li Shan's tone was a little cold, and he had lost the patience to continue talking nonsense with Shu Kui. He is the master of the Montenegro camp. The reason why he explained it to Shu Kui is because he didn't want to ruin the reputation of the Montenegro camp. Let others feel that as the manager here, he will take the lead in going black and eat black, which will make others feel that this place is very unsafe. Although it's not safe right now. The original intention of Li Shan to set up the Black Mountain camp was to build a peaceful zone outside the Black Forest, so as to attract other people to come over and then collect money and resources from it. Now that the goal has been achieved, it is the greatest benefit for him to continue to maintain it. Seeing Li Shan's icy face, Shu Kui couldn't help shivering. The other party was in the nascent soul period, and the pressure to confront him was too great. Although he is only one step away from the nascent soul stage, this step is extremely far away. Chen Yi is very nervous at the moment, and is very worried that Shu Kui will abandon her directly. When the time comes, she will be in the golden core period, and her fate may be at stake. She regretted it a little now. If she knew it earlier, she would not have shown her strength and asked the patriarch to send someone to escort her. After all, it was the first time she came out to do things alone. Although she knew that this world was dangerous, she hadn't really experienced it. Sure enough, relying on the family is the most correct choice. Giving up one's own advantages, this decision is too stupid. Shu Kui did not give up and said, Guan Li, how about this? Sun Bin, tell me how much fake spirit stones my friend paid with you, we can give it to you, how about letting go of this matter? He knew very well that if he didn't bleed some blood this time, Li Shan would never let them go. And directly exposing Chen Yi's identity is even more self-defeating. This Li Shan is also a ruthless person. If he knew Chen Yi's identity, he would probably kill him directly, and then leave the Black Mountain camp directly. The Chen family's behavior was extremely domineering, and the two major nascent soul stage forces in Dream River City were all destroyed by him. If the Chen family knew that Li Shan was bullying Chen Yi, they would not be able to hack him to death directly. Li Shan is naturally very clear about such a simple truth. Sun Bin glanced at Li Shan. Seeing that he was expressionless, he looked at Shu Kui again, then gritted his teeth and said, 10 million inferior spirit stones. Li Shan didn't respond, which meant that he didn't want to let Chen Yi go so easily. And Shu Kui naturally understood. His complexion was extremely gloomy. If the Blood Wolf mercenary group fights Li Shan, they will lose in the end. Many of the people watching the theater looked at Shu Kui coldly, their eyes full of sarcasm. The Blood Wolf mercenary group stayed in the Montenegro camp for a long time, and naturally they also had many enemies. These people didn't want to see Shu Kui how, but because of the strength of the opponent, they didn't dare to make trouble. If Shu Kui gave up on Chen Yi directly, they could make a big publicity, so that their Blood Wolf mercenary group would not be able to get jobs in the future. Of course, it is best not to give up, so that you can die directly. Li Shan is in the nascent soul stage, and although Shu Kuanai is in the golden core stage return to origin, it is absolutely impossible for him to be an opponent. After Sun Bin reported 10 million low-grade spirit stones, Shu Kui knew that Li Shan was bound to eat Chen Yi, the fat sheep, and there was absolutely no possibility of relaxation. Shu Kui asked through voice transmission behind him, Miss Chen Yi, if you are from the Chen family, do you have someone who protects the Dao, or can you send a letter to the Chen family to ask them to come to support you? Hearing this, Chen Yi looked a little embarrassed. She ran out secretly by herself. Where did she come to protect the way? As for sending the letter to the Chen family, where did she come from? Seeing that Chen Yi didn't speak, Shu Kui felt a chill in his heart. I thought I had picked up 300,000 low-grade spirit stones, but I didn't expect to risk my own life. Shu Kui sighed. Miss Chen Yi, I will try my best to take you away from now on. If you are unfortunately killed, then I have nothing to do. This Li Shan is in the nascent soul period, he can't stop him, he can only do his best. When Chen Yi heard this, a look of surprise flashed in her eyes. It has reached this point, and this Shu Kui is willing to keep his promise, so he can be regarded as a man. Li Shan's eyes became more and more cold, and he said solemnly, Shu Kui, do you still plan to take care of this matter? Don't blame me for not reminding you, don't forget who you are. He hasn't done anything so far, it's just that he is afraid of bringing bad influence to the Black Mountain camp, and this Shu Kui is not weak, and he is one step away from the nascent soul stage. There is no death feud between the two, so there is no need to make it too ugly. Shu Kui took a deep breath, and directly sent a voice transmission to the four brothers in the dark, telling them to leave directly, and don't lose their lives for nothing. When Chen Yi saw the development to this point, she was filled with despair. Patriarch, where are you? At this time, the first thing Chen Yi thought of was Chen Daojun. In Chen Yi's mind, Chen Daojun is omnipotent and can continuously create miracles. Can you create a miracle and appear in front of my eyes? At this moment, a soft laugh sounded. The Black Mountain camp is quite good, and our Chen family will accept it. Chen Yi's delicate body was shocked suddenly. Hearing this familiar voice, her face was full of disbelief. Really come. She looked aside and saw two people walking out of the crowd. Chen Yi's eye sockets turned red immediately, and tears welled up in her eyes. 14%. Chapter 44 Taking Over. I saw Chen Daojun's figure slowly walking out from the crowd, and Chen Qi was still following beside him. He was going to deal with it alone, but the nascent soul period in the Black Mountain camp is different from other places, they are all cultivators who came out of fighting. But he is a nascent soul middle stage with extremely poor combat experience. Although the strength is a little stronger than him, it may not be able to hold it. So Chen Daojun directly swayed Chen Qi over, if he couldn't fight alone, that's okay, I can sway people. Chen Yi immediately took off her disguise, walked towards Chen Daojun, and shouted with tears in her eyes. The head of the house. Seeing Chen Yi showing her original appearance, everyone watching the theater was shocked. They didn't expect her to be a woman. Hearing the voice, everyone thought it was a man. When Shu Kui heard Chen Yi's address, he couldn't help being shocked. The only one who can be called patriarch by her is Chen Daojun, who is well known in Dream River City. Li Shan squinted his eyes and didn't see Chen Daojun's cultivation base. Ghost Hidden Step also has a passive ability, which is to hide cultivation base. Li Shan's eyes burst out with murderous intent. It was Shu Kui before, but now he suddenly ran out alone, and his patience was completely exhausted. Since you don't want to cooperate, then the steward will arrest you forcibly first, and wait until you find out the facts before making a judgment. After finishing speaking, his hand suddenly grabbed Chen Yi, and an incomparably powerful aura burst out from his body. The people watching the theater around were startled and retreated subconsciously. Just when Chen Yi was about to be caught, a hand came out suddenly and grabbed his wrist. Li Shan turned his head to look, only to see a cold gaze looking at him. This person is Chen Qi next to Chen Daojun. Chen Daojun said flatly, kill him. Crack, a crisp voice sounded, and Li Shan's hand was cut off directly. In an instant, a more violent breath erupted, and Chen Qi raised his hand again and blasted towards Li Shan. His fist, like Mount Tai, is extremely oppressive. Chen Qi was originally a nascent soul late stage, and he was cultivating a body cultivator. The summoned characters all have normal combat power, even far exceeding the strength of the same realm, and there is a huge gap with Chen Daojun, a cultivator who doesn't like to practice and has mediocre strength. Li Shan watched in horror. He forgot the severe pain in his hand, and screamed. You are nascent soul late stage. However, his figure did not retreat, but directly took out a dagger, and charged towards Chen Qi, ready to fight directly to the death. Under such circumstances, it is impossible to escape, and the only option is to exchange one's life for one's life. If it were an ordinary cultivator, he would definitely be in a panic now, but Li Shan can still fight back desperately, which shows his rich combat experience. Chen Qi's eyes were full of sarcasm. He was full of hot flames, his whole body was like a vulcan, and the temperature around him suddenly rose, as if he was in an oven. Before Li Shan's dagger touched him, it had already become dilapidated. In the end, it hit Chen Qi, unable to cause any damage at all. Li Shan's eyes were full of horror. Who are you? However, what answered him was a fist like Mount Tai. Boom! Li Shan's head exploded directly, and the breath from his body vented wildly. In an instant, everyone fell into dead silence. Everyone stared blankly at the scene in front of them, with disbelief in their eyes. In less than one breath, Li Shan died. Then they looked at Chen Qi and Chen Daojun, and a question sprouted in everyone's mind. Who are these two people? Nascent soul stage, late stage. This kind of strength is only possessed by the Chen family in Meng City around the Black Mountain camp. The sound of swallowing saliva kept thinking, and everyone was stunned by the scene in front of them. Chen Daojun just glanced at it lightly, then turned to look at Chen Yi, and said angrily, "You little girl, why did you come to such a dangerous place alone?" Chen Yi lowered her head, her mouth was flattened, her eyes were red. Chen Daojun saw that she was about to cry, so he didn't continue talking, but stepped forward and patted her on the head, and said softly, "You have to remember, you are from the Chen family. Don't do this again next time. Don't make me worry about you anymore. I don't want anyone in the Chen family to have an accident." Hearing Chen Daojun's voice, Chen Yi's heart trembled. She didn't expect the patriarch to value them so much. Sniffing, Chen Yi immediately said firmly, "Patriarch, I won't do it again next time." Chen Daojun nodded and smiled, "That's good." Obviously Chen Daojun is only a few years older than her, but his tone of voice is old-fashioned, but Chen Yi listens without any sense of disobedience. In her mind, Chen Daojun is no different from her elders. The people around were shocked when they heard the conversation between the two. The Chen family. Is this really from the Chen family? This Li Shan's death was not wronged, and he didn't see how to engage in gangsters on weekdays. After all, the protection fees collected here every day, as well as the stall fees in the market, are a huge resource. There is no need to do black and white business. As a result, after finally doing it once, I encountered a hard bone. Not only did he not gnaw, but he also jumped his teeth. Shu Kui was also extremely shocked at the moment. He didn't expect that she was really Chen Yi. Although he had confirmed it before, he hadn't actually seen it, so he still had some doubts in his heart. But now after being verified, he also sighed a little. Meta boss. When Zhao Laoci and Sun Bin saw this, their eyes were full of panic. They were just about to run away when they walked out secretly and looked directly at their heads. Both of these two were members of the Blood Wolf Mercenary Corps, and since Li Shan was dead, it was impossible for these two bastards to let go. Zhao Laoci is a Golden Core middle stage, and his cultivation base is not weak, but he can be attacked by others, and he is completely helpless to escape. Chen Daojun didn't pay attention to these trivial matters, but said, "Chen Qi, you take over the Black Mountain camp, and all the rules will remain the same." Chen Qi immediately nodded respectfully, "Of order." Chen Daojun nodded, and then he shot straight into the sky and walked in the direction of Dream River City. The Montenegro camp is very unique here, dangerous, black eats black, kills and seizes treasures, this kind of dark place, Chen Daojun likes it very much. Of course, what he prefers is to be the king in such a dark place, making everyone fear him. Looking at Chen Daojun's leaving figure, Chen Yi's eyes were full of admiration, even with a little fanaticism. Just like fans meeting their favorite stars. And it's still the kind of iron-brained fan. The owner. So handsome. Chen Qi opened his mouth and said, "Except for the steward in the Black Mountain camp, who has the greatest power?" The voice fell, and everyone explained that they looked at each other and dared not speak. But soon, three figures walked out from the crowd. The leader of them was thin and looked a bit wretched and cunning. The thin man said respectfully, "My lord, the villain's name is Yong Fu, and he is the steward of the Montenegro camp. Normally, the villain manages the Montenegro camp instead of Steward Li." After speaking, he directly knelt down towards Chen Qi. "I am willing to submit to my lord." The two men behind him also knelt down immediately. Their expressions were a little terrified, not knowing how Chen Qi would deal with them. Chen Qi glanced at Yong Fu, and immediately raised his hand. A violent spirit power swept towards him. Yong Fu exploded on the spot, blood spattering everywhere. The other two kneeling on the ground were trembling all over, and their eyes were extremely terrified. Chen Qi pointed to the left hand in a cold voice, looked at the somewhat elegant man and said, "From today onwards, you are the steward of the Montenegro camp." 14%. Chapter 45 Broken Baby Pill. Seeing Chen Qi being so decisive in killing and attacking, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. The elegant man trembled all over and said, "The villain obeys." His heart was already frightened to the extreme, and he felt as if death had passed him by, which made people shudder and his scalp tingle. Chen Qi's voice sounded again. "Afterwards, the Haishan camp belongs to the Chen family. Everything here is as usual. You can come here according to the original rules. As long as you don't break the rules, I will ignore you. Don't worry about whether I will rob you. Look at your poor appearance. The Chen family still doesn't like your small profits. Chen Qi's words were so direct that many people looked a little embarrassed. For a behemoth like the Chen family, they were indeed poor, and there was nothing to refute. After all, a group of golden core and foundation establishment, even if they have more money and more resources, where can they go? Moreover, people who often hang out in the Montenegro camp do not save resources, they use a little bit, and try to convert resources into cultivation base. All of them are poor jingle bells. After Chen Qi finished speaking, he nodded towards Chen Yi with kindness on his face, and then turned to leave. With Chen Qi here, no one in the Black Mountain camp dared to touch Chen Yi, unless he felt that he didn't want to live anymore and wanted to reincarnate and change his way of life. Chen Yi glanced at Shu Kui, and she said, "The things are almost bought, escort me back to Dream River City." Shu Kui was overjoyed when he heard the words. He thought that Chen Yi didn't need his escort anymore. After all, there was still 150,000 yuan left. Yes. Then Chen Yi turned her head and left. Shu Kun hurriedly followed, and the other members of the Blood Wolf Mercenary Corps also followed after seeing this. According to his previous speculation, Chen Yi's Chamber of Commerce should not have cooperated with the mercenary group. And this Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce is backed by the Chen family, and it is bound to become the top-ranked Chamber of Commerce in Dream River City in the future, and it may even be comparable to the Tengfei Chamber of Commerce. If we can cooperate with Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce, this is a big customer, and we will definitely benefit endlessly. I just don't know if she likes their little mercenary group. Thinking of this, Shu Kui secretly took a look at Chen Yi. The Montenegro camp was not far from Meng City, and the speed of the 6 people was not slow, and they arrived very quickly. Along the way, Chen Yi was also constantly thinking about how to subdue the person in front of him. Shu Kui has a good character and principles, and the strength of return to origin in the Golden Core period is not too weak. If such a person can be subdued, it will also be of great help to her Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce. But subduing the word is easy to say, but it is actually very difficult. If you want someone to be convinced and loyal to you, you need to know what the lifeblood of the other person is. Or what he needs. What Shu Kui said before kept flashing in Chen Yi's mind. She wanted to judge the other party's personality through these details. At first, she was followed, Shu Kui reminded her. Upright, not bad conduct. After encountering a crisis, she did not abandon her and leave, keeping her promise and keeping her promise. But these are not the key points. Suddenly, Chen Yi's eyes lit up. He knew what Shu Kui needed most. Cultivation base. This may be what all cultivators desire, but Shu Kui is different. If you provide cultivation base to other people, the other party may not really work hard for you, the most benefit exchange, but Shu Kui is very likely to work hard for her. She could feel that Shu Kui longed for power and became stronger. Secondly, he also valued the other 4 brothers of the Blood Wolf mercenary group. Recalling the scene when Chen Daojun subdued Qi Xiaohe, Chen Yi's eyes showed excitement. If I can also subdue a strong man, it will definitely make the head of the family look at me with admiration. Think for a moment. Chen Yi slowed down and was not in a hurry to return to Fantasy City. She asked calmly, Head Shu, what are your plans for the future? Shu Kui shook his head and smiled wryly. What else can I do? Continue to do the old business. If Miss Chen Yi still has business in the future, you can also call me. Shu Kaiding will do his best to help you. Chen Yi imitated Chen Daojun's indifferent and calm appearance. She turned her head and looked at Shu Kui calmly. For some reason, when Shu Kui saw Chen Yi like this, he always felt a little apprehensive, and his heart beat faster. Chen Yi stopped and said slowly, Don't you think about doing something else? Do you have any idea to work for my Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce? Hearing this, Shu Kui's heart skipped a beat. He didn't expect Chen Yi to have such an idea. He frowned suddenly, with a look of hesitation on his face. The other 4 brothers behind Shu Kui all looked at each other, but their expressions were extremely flat, without any emotion. The strength of the Chen family is too strong, and their group of Golden Core will not be taken seriously if they enter in the early stage, so they might as well stay in the Montenegro camp to be unrestrained. The main reason is that they are camping in Montenegro, and they earn a lot of resources every month. And to work for the Chen family, that would be like being a dog, and they could do whatever they were asked to do. If Chen Yi said that he wanted to cooperate and let the Blood Wolf mercenary group cooperate with the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce, this would be okay, but the efficiency, let's forget it. Shu Kui also said apologetically, I'm sorry, Miss Chen Yi, we brothers are used to being free, and we don't want to be controlled by others. Chen Yi's expression didn't fluctuate. She praised. Master Shu, I'm giving you this opportunity because of your good character. It's an honor for you to be my lady's subordinate, and it's a blessing for 8 lifetimes of cultivation to have a relationship with my Chen family. When Shu Kui heard this, his face showed some displeasure, and it felt a bit exaggerated to say so. Listening to this, I always feel that I am belittling them. Chen Yi continued. Let's not talk about the rest of your blood wolf mercenary group. Just you, Shu Kui, how long will it take to break through the nascent soul stage? Shu Kui frowned when he heard this, not knowing what Chen Yi wanted to express, but he still said, if you accumulate 10 or 20 years, you will have the opportunity to try to make an impact. Try. Chen Yi chuckled lightly. If you surrender to Miss Ben, I can help you break through the nascent soul stage, not only you, but also your brothers. Hearing this, Shu Kui's eyes were fixed, and his breathing suddenly became a little short. He needs to accumulate at least 10 or 20 years to break through the nascent soul stage, and he is only trying to break through, not 100% successful. If he fails, he will have to accumulate again. Some people have difficulty breaking through in their entire lives. The 5 brothers, if they all rely on doing business in the Black Mountain camp, don't know how much time it will take to break through. Is this true? Shu Kui asked immediately. Chen Yi said proudly. My Chen family has a 4th rank pill refining master. Isn't it easy to break through a few golden core stages? Head Shu should have heard of the Poing pill, right? With your current cultivation base, if you want to break through the nascent soul stage, you only need to take this medicine pill. 15%. Chapter 46 Breakthrough Nascent Soul Stage. Broken Baby Pill. Hearing Chen Yi's words, Shu Kui was startled. He didn't expect the Chen family to have a 4th rank pill refining teacher. No wonder they have so many nascent soul sessions. A 4th rank pill refiner. As long as he has enough materials, he can continuously refine medicine pills and create strong ones. Shu Kui suddenly thought of Chen Qi. Doubts flashed in his eyes. The strength of this late stage of nascent soul period is so powerful and frightening, it doesn't look like a realm promoted by medicine pill at all. Shu Kui asked, can we also get this medicine pill? He couldn't believe that Chen Yi was willing to pay for such a medicine pill. The Poing pill is a 4th rank medicine pill, and its preciousness is unimaginable. If such a medicine pill is thrown into Dream River City, it will definitely drive countless people crazy. Breaking through the nascent soul stage does not require resources. Condensing the nascent soul requires a lot of energy, and also requires a huge spirit power, and it is extremely easy to fail. Even if many people hit 10 times, they may not be able to break through. And if Shu Kui hits 10 times, it will take at least 200 years to accumulate resources. To put it lightly, if one is not careful when condensing the nascent soul, it may cause the cultivation base to go backwards, and even never be able to conceive a baby. It may also fall because of this. In short, it is difficult to conceive a baby. Chen Yi smiled lightly, and she directly took out a delicate small box, which contained a blood-red medicine pill. With the appearance of the small box, there was a faint medicinal fragrance all around. Chen Yi continued. Master Shu, this lady said that I gave you the opportunity to submit to me because I appreciate your character. I can give this broken baby pill to other people, and I can also give it to you. This medicine pill was refined by Chen Yi from Chenlu before, and it was originally intended to be used as a promotion for the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce to help make it famous. But later Chen Daojun gave her the spirit pill again, so she put it away and replaced the Poing pill with the spirit pill. With the appearance of the Poing pill, Shu Kui's breathing immediately became rapid, and his eyes were full of heat. With this medicine pill, he can directly break through the nascent soul stage. Shu Kui stared straight at the medicine pill in front of him, couldn't help swallowing, and asked with some uncertainty. Miss Chen Yi, can you really give me this baby pill? He really couldn't believe that Chen Yi was willing to give him this precious medicine pill. If Chen Yi said that she had Poing pill, there would probably be countless cultivators of the golden core stage coming to her door, licking her shoes, begging to work for her. Of course, he didn't have any wrong thoughts. After all, this place is very close to Meng City, and maybe their every move is being watched. Chen Yi nodded with a calm expression. It's natural. If it was someone else, Chen Yi would definitely not be willing to give Poing pill, but although Shu Kui had known her for a short time, she could trust her. As a businessman, it makes sense to tilt the probability towards the side with a higher success rate. If Shu Kui really broke through and ran away, it can only be regarded as her wrong judgment. Chen Yi will not be tied up because of worry. A real strong person will not be afraid of failure because of the possibility of failure, so he will not do it. The strong always face difficulties. Shu Kui swallowed his saliva, took a deep breath, hesitated for a moment, knelt down on his knees towards Chen Yi, and said respectfully, "From now on, I, Shu Kui, will follow the Lord and obey his orders." Seeing this, the other 4 people behind him immediately knelt down. "I, Yu Chang, also follow the Lord. I, Zhang Zan." The 5 people said one by one, "The purpose of the 5 brothers in the Black Mountain camp is to break through the nascent soul stage one day. And right now there is a great opportunity. If you give up all of this, you will be really stupid." Chen Yi nodded, coughed twice, and then imitated Chen Daojun's tone and said, "Very well, you in the future will definitely be grateful for the decision you made today." After finishing speaking, she sent the medicine pill directly. "This baby breaking pill belongs to you." Looking at the medicine pill in front of him, Shu Kui was dumbfounded, "So just give it to himself. No protective measures at all. Aren't you afraid that I'll run away with the medicine pill?" Shu Kui swallowed, and asked in disbelief, "Give it to me." Chen Yi said, "My lady can trust you, it's just a broken baby pill, follow me, there will be better things in the future. Working for me, the benefits are indispensable to you. Apart from the extra benefits of the Poing pill, you can also receive a normal salary every month, which may not be less than what you earned in the Black Mountain camp before." Chen Yi turned to Yu Chang and the others and said, "Including you as well, there will always be Poing pills in the future." When Shu Kui heard what Chen Yi said, his eyes suddenly became extremely firm, and he secretly vowed in his heart that he must do things for the young lady well in the future. Chen Yi gave him unimaginable benefits, and even gave him trust, which moved him very much. Who doesn't want the value of own to be recognized by others? Shu Kui also stopped being hypocritical, and said after receiving the Poing pill, "Thank you, Lord." Chen Yi waved her hand. "You don't need to call me the master, I sound awkward, you can call me the shopkeeper, or miss. The title master is too old-fashioned, it is more suitable for men. She is a delicate girl, and the title of master is too inappropriate for her." Shu Kui scratched his head and corrected again, "Yes, miss." Chen Yi just nodded, then she immediately turned her head and walked towards Dream River City. And as soon as she turned her back, excitement appeared on her face, completely opposite to her calm look before. "I actually really conquered a golden core period returned to origin. It didn't even take 10 days for the Chen family to rise from ruin to the present." Chen Yi's mentality was still the same as before, so after subduing a golden core period returned to origin, she was extremely excited inside. Such a strong person was something that the Chen family didn't dare to provoke before, but now they call him Miss. Chen Yi's eyes were full of complacency. With that baby-breaking pill, this Shu Kui will soon become a nascent soul stage, and by then, her subordinates will have a nascent soul stage cultivator. Just thinking about it made Chen Yi extremely excited. After returning to Dream River City, Chen Yi first arranged a residence for Shu Kui and the 5 of them, not far from the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce, and very close to the Chen family. "You are free to move, if necessary, I will come and order you." After finishing speaking, Chen Yi turned around and left, walking towards the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce. Shu Kui nodded and saluted. After Chen Yi left, he immediately ran into the house with an excited expression. He couldn't wait to try the Poing pill. Seeing this, Yu Chang and the others also ran in. Evening. In a dark room, the 4 of Yu Chang looked very dignified. Although there was no light in the room, it could be used as a cultivator during the golden core period. The night had no effect on them, and everything they saw was as clear as day. The 4 looked solemnly at Shu Kui, who was sitting cross-legged on the bed, sensing that his aura was getting stronger and stronger. Their expressions were extremely excited. Dage is about to break through the nascent soul period. 15%. Chapter 47 The Lonely Chen Yun. In Shu Kui's body, a bloody nascent soul is constantly hovering, becoming more and more solid. The biggest function of Poing pill is that after swallowing, a prototype of nascent soul will be condensed in the body, which directly skips the most difficult step of breaking through nascent soul. All that is left is to fully condense the nascent soul. This step is almost without any technical difficulty, which shows the preciousness of the Poing pill. As the nascent soul in Shu Kui's body became more solidified, his aura became more powerful. Midnight. There are far fewer people on the street. Suddenly, an incomparably powerful aura erupted, sweeping half of Meng City. Shu Kui opened his eyes, and there was unconcealable joy in his eyes, and his ups and downs of chest could tell that his heart was extremely restless. Nascent soul. I broke through the nascent soul period. Yu Chang and the others also stood up abruptly, with envy on their faces. This is the nascent soul period, the most powerful cultivator in this area, and it is also the realm that their 5 brothers have longed for. Now, someone finally broke through. They were not jealous because of Shu Kui's breakthrough, they only had envy and congratulations in their hearts. After a period of nascent soul, their future path becomes wider. Shu Kui can pull them away, and Yu Chang is the strongest in the golden core late stage, and he must be able to break through in a short time. Yu Chang's face was full of envy, and he secretly made up his mind that he must do things well for the young lady, and strive to get a poing pill to break through the nascent soul stage in the future. Yu Chang stepped forward. Congratulations, Dage, finally got his wish and broke through the nascent soul stage. The same was true for the other 3 people, who went up to congratulate them one after another. Shu Kui showed joy. He stood up, patted Yu Chang on the shoulder and said, Miss gave all of this, and now I have also broken through the nascent soul stage, and I will strive for more benefits for you in the future, so that you can all break through. Quote. Thanks, Dage. All 4 of Yu Chang were smiling. The people in their room were very excited, but the people in Dream City couldn't calm down. It's Baikang district again. Could it be that someone from the Chen family has broken through the nascent soul stage again? That direction is so close to the Chen family, it's only possible that it's them again. Why is the Chen family so perverted? There are so many people breaking through the nascent soul stage in a short period of time. This is too heaven-defying. I really envy the people of the Chen family. Discussions continued to ring out in Meng City, and they only had awe and envy for the current Chen family. Chen family. Chen Yun frowned immediately after sensing this breath. He immediately turned into an afterimage, left the Chen family, and headed towards the breath. This breath is very strange, he has never touched it before, and it is very close to their Chen family. When I came to the street, there were already many people standing around here, all of whom were curious about who made the breakthrough. Chen Yun looked in one direction, then cupped hands and said, Chen family, Chen Yun. May I ask who is the fellow Taoist who broke through? Hearing this, the people around were all curious. Couldn't it be the Chen family who made the breakthrough? Shu Kui's figure walked out immediately, followed by Yu Chang and 4 others. Chen Yun's eyes narrowed immediately. It turns out to be the head of the Blood Wolf Mercenary Corps, Shu Kui. Shu Kui's Blood Wolf Mercenary Group is very famous in the Black Mountain Camp, and they often go to and from Dream River City. Although Chen Yun has never dealt with him, at least he knows him. Shu Kui immediately stepped forward with a smile on his face, and shouted respectfully, Meet Chen Yun Elder. Chen Yun immediately arched his cupped hands, You're welcome. Chen Yun was still a little surprised that Shu Kui actually broke through the nascent soul stage, and he chose to break through around the Chen family, which made him feel provoked. Everyone in the current Chen family is afraid of it like a tiger or a leopard, but he is good, and specially ran here to break through. But now that they met, Chen Yun was still going to beat him up. Since they're all here, how about going to Chen's house for a while? Hearing Chen Yun's tone, Shu Kui felt bad, afraid that he might misunderstand, so he quickly explained. Chen Yun Elder, now Shu is working for Ms. Chen Yi, and works for the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce. Hearing this sentence, everyone around was shocked. Unexpectedly, Chen Yi could subdue a nascent soul cultivator. Although Shu Kui is not from the Chen family, he is still half of the Chen family. Chen Yun frowned suddenly. Is this true? In his mind, Chen Yi was just a little girl, and he didn't believe that she could control such a strong person. Shu Kui immediately said, It's not just me, the entire Blood Wolf mercenary group is now dominated by Miss Feng. Seeing Shu Kui's serious appearance, Chen Yun raised his eyebrows immediately, and there was a look of shock in his eyes. Chen Yi actually subdued a strong nascent soul. So scary. There's no need for Shu Kui to lie to him, unless it's because of his long life. The Chen family is not something that the Blood Wolf mercenary group can provoke. And the respect in his demeanor is not fake, it is obviously true. Shu Kui was really subdued by Chen Yi. When did the Chen family become so fierce? Even a junior is so terrifying. Hiss. Chen Yun took a deep breath, then turned around and left without further words. To be honest, kind of blown away. Even this little girl, Chen Yi, has now subdued a strong nascent soul to work for her. Obviously the Chen family got better, which should have been a good thing, but he couldn't be happier. This makes him look like a piece of trash. Shu Kui looked at Chen Yun's lonely back, showing doubts, wondering why he left directly. The next day, early morning. Chen family. The owner's courtyard. The tree of thorns kept growing, almost covering the entire yard, looking lush and green. And his main trunk, which grew to about 10 meters, stood in the backyard. The original tree of thorns was covered with spikes, but Chen Daojun asked him to put it away and release it when he was in a fighting state. And he is now not far from the second-order demonic beasts, so it is very objective to continue to grow like this. The lucky draw is successful. Congratulations for getting the summoned character, and one early-stage cultivator. The lucky draw is successful. Congratulations on getting 400 Kaling pills. The lucky draw is successful. Congratulations on getting the summoned character, Divine Transformation Late-Stage Cultivator 7. Looking at the lucky draw rewards, Chen Daojun suddenly beamed with joy. Yes, this time, 2 summoned characters were drawn in a row. 7 Divine Transformation Late Stages, 1 Void Return Period. Isn't this directly invincible? Kai Ling Dan can make the Golden Core quickly advance grade, and the summoned characters can maintain the high-end combat power of the Chen family, which is very good. Chen Daojun didn't rush to call, but was thinking about what these people should arrange for them, and they couldn't just stay at home. Since the Chen family wants to be a power at the hegemony level, it must continue to expand its power and increase its own influence. Chen Daojun smiled lightly, as if he didn't need to think about it so much. He would just take Wuyu City and White Cloud City first in 2 days. After taking charge of the 3 major cities, he became the king directly, and then began to sweep the entire wasteland with lightning speed. Just do it, 15%. Chapter 48. Call. In an instant, 8 figures appeared in front of Chen Daojun. Each of them had an extremely powerful aura, and the leader of them made Chen Daojun feel extremely depressed. His appearance looks a bit ordinary, but his eyes seem to be able to suck people in. Duan Xiaohua, meet the patriarch. The man knelt on the ground and shouted respectfully. Chen Daojun was a little puzzled. The previous lottery draws were all surnamed Chen, but this time it was Duan. He glanced at the system space, and the staff of the Chen family had also been promoted. Shaking his head, it doesn't matter what your last name is, as long as you are loyal to me. After Duan Xiaohua opened his mouth, the other 7 late-stage incarnations also knelt down and shouted respectfully. Chen Yuanliang, meet the patriarch. Chen Chao, pay homage to patriarch. List. A series of voices continued to sound, and the expressions of the 8 people were extremely respectful. Chen Daojun threw a few messenger jade stones over, and then said lightly, everyone, get up. The Chen family has nothing to do in a short time, and Duan Xiaohua will follow me. Others can do whatever they want, but they can't leave Dream River City too far. I will summon you if something happens. Although it is necessary to attack Wuyu City and White Cloud City, at least we have to wait for Meng City to stabilize. It is necessary to seek progress while maintaining stability, otherwise the foundation will not be solid. But at most 3 days, after waiting for Chen Zan to completely control Meng City, he can almost continue to expand the Chen family's sphere of influence. Obey. Chen Yuanliang and the others took the letter Jade, and immediately disappeared in place. Although they are summoned characters, they are also living people with their own hobbies and ideas. So Chen Daojun didn't want to restrict them too much, and the current Chen family really didn't need so many strong people. Now the luck value of the Chen family has also directly increased from the previous 1150 to 2,439 feet, which has almost doubled. According to this speculation, the luck value added during the divine transformation period is at least more than 100, and at least 300 during the return to void period. But Chen Daojun couldn't calculate it specifically, and he couldn't figure out the logic of the luck value. He only knew that the higher the luck value, the better the lucky draw items. But it doesn't matter, he is not the kind of person who likes to get to the bottom of it. Next, Chen Daojun practiced cultivation technique in the inner courtyard of the Chen family, and at the same time went to practice with Chen Wenj in the evening. With the addition of 7 divine transformation stages and 1 void return stage, the spirit power growth rate in Chen Daojun's body is also much faster, and he can break through to the nascent soul late stage again in about 2 days at most. At this speed, Chen Daojun couldn't help but be speechless. Too fast. The next day, Chen Daojun opened his eyes, and it was time to draw the lottery again. The lottery is successful. Congratulations on winning the 12 Spirit Pool Springs. The lucky draw is successful. Congratulations on getting 10 copies of Random Attribute Sky Spiritual Roots. The lottery draw is successful. Congratulations on getting the 12 tables of Lingchiquanyan. Ah, Chen Daojun was dumbfounded seeing so many spirit pool springs drawn. This number is too huge. There are 24 in total, plus the 7 springs of the spiritual pool before, wouldn't that be 31 in total? The output of spirit stones is close to 1 million a day. Outrageous. The truth is that there are too many to be outrageous. If close to 1 million is spread out a day, even a place where the birds don't shit can become a holy place for cultivation, let alone the Chen family. At most 1 or 2 months, the spirit power in the Chen family will be extremely strong. It has to be said that after the number of springs in this spirit pool has been increased, the effect is still there. Then Chen Daojun looked at the spiritual roots. From the introduction, this spiritual roots can be used directly, even for people other than the host. Can directly in vivo qualification. My God, spiritual roots, this is a good thing. Chen Daojun was full of joy. Spiritual roots are divided into low-grade spiritual roots, middle-grade spiritual roots, top-grade spiritual roots, heavenly spiritual roots, and extreme-grade spiritual roots. And the juniors with the best qualifications in the Chen family, Chen Shang and Chen Yi, are only middle-grade spiritual roots. If they don't meet a big opportunity, it is estimated that the nascent soul period is their limit. With a bit of luck, the nascent soul stage may not even be achieved. Chen Daojun is a miscellaneous spiritual roots that is worse than low-grade spirit stones, even worse than miscellaneous spiritual roots. His aptitude is extremely bad. Use. Chen Daojun first used it by himself to try the feeling of spiritual roots today. In an instant, a golden light burst out of his body, and a sharp feeling emanated from his body, and even his eyes turned golden yellow, which looked extremely miraculous. At the same time, the aura in his body suddenly increased a lot. Chen Daojun's body immediately burst into black mud. It was the spiritual roots of heaven washing his sutras and cutting marrow. The 100-fold return of the system is only the return of the cultivation base. While the cultivation base is being improved, there is also the washing of the scriptures and cutting the marrow, but obviously it is not so strong. Is this the heavenly spiritual roots? Chen Daojun waved his hand, and a golden spirit power suddenly emerged from his hand, and a sharp feeling suddenly emerged. Now even if he doesn't use the cultivation technique, the spirit power has its own power. Metallicity, God's spiritual roots. There was joy in Chen Daojun's eyes. A top-rank spiritual roots in Dream River City is considered a rare genius in 100 years, and that Huang Yu was a top-rank spiritual roots back then. But now, he has become the spiritual roots. Spiritual roots not only increase the upper limit, but also the combat effectiveness against realm will be much higher than other ordinary spiritual roots. Just like his metallic nature, spiritual roots, when practicing the metallic cultivation technique, it will be countless times easier, and with the addition of spirit power's own metallic nature, the power of the attack will also increase a lot. If the spiritual roots are used by the Chen family's children these days, it will definitely bring the Chen family's strength to a higher level. Chen Daojun said, Chen Wu, let Chen Yun come over. Chen Wu at the gate of the yard heard the words, and immediately responded respectfully, yes. Soon, Chen Yun's figure appeared, and every time Chen Daojun ordered again, he immediately put down what he was doing and came back directly. Chen Yun looked at Duan Xiaohua, slightly stunned. Why was there another strange face? But it was different from seeing Chen Zan just now. Duan Xiaohua gave him an extremely strong sense of oppression. Just standing in front of him, there was a feeling of Mount Tai's pressure, and even breathing was very difficult. So strong. Chen Yun swallowed. Such a strong sense of oppression. What kind of cultivation base is this? When Chen Zan released the cultivation base before, he never felt such a strong sense of oppression. That is to say, the person in front of him is stronger than Chen Zan. Another divine transformation period. Chen Yun cupped hands towards Duan Xiaohua with awe in his eyes, and Duan Xiaohua returned the gift with a smile on his face. After doing all this, Chen Yun walked into the courtyard. But as soon as he walked in, he was a little stunned. The yard is now full of vines. In the backyard, there is another tree that is nearly 15 meters long, with green leaves growing on it. The sight in front of him gave him a feeling of entering the forest. And spirit power is much richer than before. What's going on here? 16%. Chapter 49 Invitation. The owner's courtyard. After Chen Yun walked in, he immediately asked respectfully, meet the patriarch. After finishing speaking, Chen Yun scanned the vines and leaves in the yard again, and asked curiously, Patriarch, what is this? Chen Daojun smiled lightly. It's a little thing I raised. Let's get down to business. I've called you here this time mainly because I want you to send a letter to Chen Shang and Chen Jin to let them come back first. Chen Shang, Chen Jin, Chen Yi, Chen Shan, Chen Kui, Chen Xuan, Chen Bo, Chen Yuan, and you. 9 of you, come to my place the day after tomorrow, be sure to arrive. These are the 9 heavenly spiritual roots users selected by Chen Daojun. They are all the backbone members of the Chen family. The rest are not the best choice. If they are drawn later, they will be used. Chen Yun was slightly taken aback. Although he didn't know what the patriarch wanted to do, he still said respectfully. Obey. Chen Daojun handed over a universe bag again. There are 400 Kaling pills inside. You can use them for the Chen family members. Be careful not to treat them badly to the Chen family's offshoots and servants. These people did not treat them badly when the Chen family was most in danger. Choosing to leave should be taken seriously. When the Chen family was in crisis, they never left. Now that the Chen family is getting better, it is natural for them to enjoy some benefits, and strive to make everyone in the Chen family grow up. Chen Yun was startled first, and then 400 Kaling pills. Then he said with a serious expression, Patriarch, don't worry, I will take all those left behind at that time seriously. Chen Daojun nodded when he heard the words, then waved his hands and said, just these things, let's go. Chen Yun nodded immediately, took the Chenkin bag, saluted and left. After Chen Yun left, Chen Daojun also stood up and began to prepare to place the spring of the Lingqi. Certainly not all of these things can be placed in his yard, and they still need to be soaked in rain and dew. If there are more in the future, some can even be placed in Dream River City. After all, the Chen family wanted to base themselves on Meng City. If the strength was too weak, this would definitely not work. In the future, he will become king, and the imperial capital Chen Daojun will also be established in Meng City. It's just that the name of this city is indeed too ugly, and it must be changed to a domineering name at that time. Chen Daojun had already made clear arrangements for the short-term future plans. Chen Daojun first went to the backyard and placed 5 springs of the spiritual pool next to the pool. Fortunately, the pool in his backyard was large enough to hold almost 30 springs of the spiritual pool, so there was no need to worry too much about the lack of space. Then he walked out of the yard. A Lingqi spring was placed everywhere in the Chen family. After all the 24 spirit pool springs were placed, the intensity of the spirit power in the entire Chen family immediately began to rise, and one could clearly feel that the spiritual qi was becoming more solid. This is placed by the patriarch, what is it used for? After Chen Daojun left, someone from Chen's house immediately went up to check. But when they saw the pure spiritual qi flowing out of it, their faces suddenly showed shock. Is this spiritual fluid? I read it right. I saw the owner put several of these things just now. Can't every one of them flow out spiritual fluid? However, what is this thing? Do any of you know it? Why can spiritual fluid flow out, and the speed is so fast? Immediately, someone asked suspiciously, but they were all dumbfounded, and they didn't know anything about Lingqi Spring. Let alone them, even Chen Daojun doesn't know. How was the spiritual fluid in this Lingqi Spring produced? Although Chen Daojun didn't know, there must be some logic. It should be something with the power of law. After the realm is high, he should know. After placing the Lingqi Spring, Chen Daojun returned to the owner's courtyard again. This courtyard also has a name, but few people call it. It's called Qingxinyuan. It means that as the head of the family, you should be pure-hearted and ascetic as possible, and focus on the family. Of course, this is not what Chen Daojun said, but what the old patriarch, that is, his grandfather said. For the Chen family at that time, the old patriarch devoted almost his entire life to the family, which was indeed admirable. Meet the patriarch, and report something. Suddenly, there was a shout outside the door, and the guards of the Chen family stood outside the door respectfully. After the Chen family got better, the strength of these subordinates and collaterals has risen, and the 2 gate guards have also been promoted from the qi refining period to the foundation establishment period. Chen Daojun said, "Come in." The guard walked in immediately, but he lowered his head slightly all the way. When he came to the front of Chen Daojun, he immediately saluted respectfully, "Meet the patriarch." The Tengfei Chamber of Commerce sent a message that there will be an auction tomorrow, and the owner is invited to participate. After speaking, the guard handed over the invitation with both hands. Auctions. Is the Chen family still missing something? Could it be that some rubbish like elixir is being auctioned off? The strongest people here in Dream River City are only at the nascent soul stage, and the grade of medicine pill cannot be much higher. After Chen Daojun received the invitation, he waved his hand, "Go down. Although there is nothing I want to buy, but fortunately there is nothing wrong, so I went to have a look. But the auction is quite interesting, and the Chen family can get some out in the future. The Chen family is still a bit too monotonous now." Suddenly, an idea popped up in Chen Daojun's mind. Since he has so many summoned characters, can he create a power, or multiple powers, and let them all be in it? Then serve the Chen family. Chen Daojun looked thoughtful. What is the Chen family doing now? The Chamber of Commerce, with a girl like Chen Yi, can get someone to assist him. If the Chamber of Commerce grows in size in the future, it will be more at ease for its own people to manage it. The biggest benefit of summoning characters is loyalty. What else? After thinking for a while, Chen Daojun's eyes suddenly lit up, and an idea came to his mind. Intelligence. Assassination. It is possible to create a faction, divide it into intelligence and assassination, and then do those dark things for the Chen family. And intelligence can also allow him to stay at home, but he can control major events in the world. Chen Daojun is a little too lack of information now. For example, he knows very little about the specific situation of White Cloud City and Wuyu City. And such an organization can just make up for the vacancy in this regard. After creating such an organization, you can also hire some killers from outside, or train killers yourself. At that time, a reward can be offered, the organization can issue a reward task, and outsiders can also issue a reward task, and then those killers can complete the characters. Of course, there is no benefit in doing so, but Chen Daojun just thinks it is fun. Great, let's do it. Chen Daojun directly crushed the previous messenger jade to bring back the previous divine transformation late stage, but he crushed at least 5 pieces, leaving 2 pieces. After all, the Chen family still needed people, and they all used them to run this organization. Wouldn't it be embarrassing for the Chen family to employ people? Not long after, 5 figures appeared beside Qingxin Yuan. Meet the patriarch. The 5 of them didn't leave the Chen family too far, and they came here immediately after receiving the message. 16%. Chapter 50 Vientiane. You 4, do you understand assassination and intelligence? Chen Daojun opened his mouth to ask, not to mention assassination, as long as he has cultivation technique and strength, it is basically enough. But intelligence requires a little ability. If you don't have expertise in this area, you may not be able to do this job well. The 5 looked at each other, and one of them, a young man with a dignified appearance and the appearance of a son-in-law, said, Patriarch, the villain has a good understanding of intelligence, and he also cultivates a sinister cultivation technique, so he should be able to assassinate others. Chen Daojun immediately looked towards him. Chen Yuanliang. This name sounds very bright and above board, and he looks like a gentleman, but he cultivated some insidious cultivation technique. This is true. Chen Daojun couldn't help sighing. However, Chen Yuanliang is really suitable for this industry, his appearance is too deceptive. Chen Daojun nodded, and immediately said, very well, this patriarch is going to create an organization, mainly for intelligence and assassination. The group is called Vientiane. In Vientiane, it is divided into 3 departments. Human world, responsible for collecting intelligence. The underworld is responsible for cultivating killers, or absorbing outside killers. Heaven is also a killer, but it can only be appointed by the head of the family, and the strength must be strong enough. Chen Yuanliang, you will lead Vientiane for the time being, and the other 4 will cooperate. The underworld can be put aside for a while. The most urgent task is the human world. I want you to spread the intelligence network as soon as possible. Every day, pick the key points and report to me the information you have inquired about. The 5 immediately responded respectfully, obey. Naturally, they didn't have any hesitation about Chen Daojun's order. Chen Daojun also nodded. My master trusts you. Don't let me down. If you have any request, go to Chen Yun directly, he will help you. To set up such an organization would certainly require a great deal of financial resources. Of course, the most important thing is strength. And Chen Daojun gave almost all the lottery items to Chen Yun. He was too lazy to deal with the resource allocation of the Chen family. Compared to being busy every day, he prefers to be a hands-off shopkeeper. Go. Chen Daojun gave them Ghost Shadow Step, which is also a cultivation technique of the assassination category, and its grade is not low, and it is also helpful to the Vientiane organization. But these are not important, assassination, as long as the target is killed. There is no need to practice the cultivation technique of those wretched sneak attacks. As long as everyone who sees me is dead, the assassination is successful. Obey. The 5 people saluted respectfully again, then turned and left. 5 divine transformation late stages, not to mention that the road was paved very wide at the beginning, but at least they fully controlled Wuyu City, White Cloud City and Meng City. Qingxinyuan became quiet again. With Vientiane, Chen Daojun can arrange the drawn summoned characters into it. Chen Daojun ran to the backyard, controlled the thorn tree to form a bed with vines, then walked into the house, took out the cushion and threw it on it, and then lay down directly on it. Comfortable. Chen Daojun was full of enjoyment. What kind of fairy life is this? This is what travelers should experience. Compared to those routes of going out to fight to the death, and then brush monsters to upgrade, Chen Daojun still likes this route. But it always feels like something is missing. What is it? Chen Daojun looked thoughtful, and soon raised his eyebrows. Maid. There is still a servant girl who serves him, and feeds him some grapes, which is a more top-notch enjoyment. But if you want to become your own handmaid, the requirement is very high. First of all, the beauty and figure must be top-notch. Since you stay by his side, you have to be seductive enough to make your body and mind feel happy. And the personality needs to be more lively, and the aptitude is at least as good as spiritual roots, too poor to be your own personal maid. Thinking of this, Chen Daojun couldn't help shaking his head. There are too few people who meet such conditions. Even a top-grade spiritual roots in Dream River City is a rare one in 100 years, let alone spiritual roots. Let's lower the requirements. The requirements for qualifications do not need to be too high. The most important thing is people, mainly to see whether they are beautiful or not enough to catch the eye. However, such a person is still relatively rare, so let's talk about it when we meet in the future. Chen Daojun fell asleep while thinking. I didn't wake up until after dark. As a nascent soul cultivator, he naturally doesn't need to sleep, but it's easy for him to sleep. There are also disadvantages of being a hands-off shopkeeper, that is, there is nothing to do, and it hurts to be idle. Although I got happiness, I also lost my troubles. Chen Daojun looked up and saw that the tree of thorns was growing taller and taller, and now it is over 20 meters. As he got taller, it was obvious that his growth rate also slowed down, but this wasn't because he didn't grow, but because the thorn tree used more energy to improve its quality, not its appearance. Although the tree of thorns is also capable of fighting, but for him now, it is simply tasteless. However, it seems to be okay as a decoration. Now the yard still looks a little fresh. The next day, early morning, Chen Daojun woke up slowly, and the first thing he did was draw a lottery. The lucky draw is successful. Congratulations on getting 270 million low-rank spirit stones. The lucky draw is successful. Congratulations on getting a spiritual chi secret realm. The lucky draw is successful. Congratulations on getting the summoned character, Divine Transformation Late Stage 16. 16 Divine Transformation Late Stage. Chen Daojun couldn't help being slightly dazed. The system began to develop in an increasingly outrageous direction. During the Divine Transformation period, he was considered a relatively rare powerhouse. And their Chen family is almost running all over the place now. Including those previous Divine Transformation period cultivators, the Chen family's Divine Transformation period added up to more than 20 people. But Chen Daojun started to have a headache again. It was too much. He didn't know how to arrange so many Divine Transformation periods, so he couldn't put them all in the Vientiane organization. Chen Daojun said, "Summon." In an instant, 16 figures appeared in the courtyard. If the Qingxinyuan was not big enough, they might not be able to stand up. Villain Chen Feiwen, meet the family. Villain Chen Kong, pay homage to the patriarch. Little man. They all knelt on the ground and shouted respectfully. Chen Daojun glanced at them, and then asked, "Among you, is there anyone who knows how to do business?" After the words fell, the two of them walked out immediately. Meet the patriarch, I am familiar with business. Chen Daojun nodded. In this case, the two of you will go to the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce to help Chen Yi manage the Chamber of Commerce, and say that I sent it. Those who are called out are real people. It was as if they were already here in life, and they knew many things from the moment they were summoned, and Chen Daojun didn't need to explain them at all. After Chen Daojun finished speaking, he took out another token of own and gave them to them, so that Chen Yi would not suspect the identities of the two of them, and ran over to ask him again. With the assistance of 2 Divine Transformation late-stage cultivators, it will not be too easy for the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce to develop. Although it is also very simple now. Among the remaining people, Is there anyone who understands assassination and intelligence? 16%. Chapter 51 Just Divine Transformation Late Stage. Hearing Chen Daojun's words, 8 of them opened their mouths. Patriarch, the villain is good at fighting and killing, and it should be similar to assassination. The villain is good at collecting information. The villain is also good at assassination. Quote. Chen Daojun nodded, and then took out a messenger talisman, which is more precious than ordinary messenger jade, can send messages many times, and is expensive to make. However, for the current Chen family, it is nothing more than an ordinary item. Chen Yuanguang, go back to the Chen family. Soon, a voice rang out from the messenger talisman. Obey. The divine transformation period was extremely fast, and it didn't take long for Chen Yuanguang's figure to appear outside Qingxinyuan. Meet the patriarch, Chen Daojun said, come in. The figure of Chen Yuanguang walked in, then knelt down towards Chen Daojun, quietly waiting for the arrangement. Chen Daojun pointed to the 8 people who spoke just now and said, they also joined the Vientiane organization, and their identities are assassins in heaven. You can arrange what to do. With 8 more divine transformation late stages, the work in Vientiane will definitely be much more efficient than before. Chen Yuanguang nodded immediately, of order. Chen Daojun waved his hand, and the 9 people turned into an afterimage and left Qingxinyuan, and he did not continue to arrange for the remaining 6 people to go out. Just stay at Chen's house and let Chen Yun make arrangements. After arranging the 16 divine transformation periods, Chen Daojun couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. There were more and more summoned characters, and he began to feel a little overwhelmed. After the 16 divine transformation late stages were summoned, the luck value of the Chen family also directly increased to 4,770. The luck value of the Chen family almost always changes every day, at an extremely fast speed. Spiritual Qi Secret Realm. Chen Daojun looked at another reward from the lottery. He has also heard of this thing. In some big forces, there will be secret realms for disciples to practice and help them grow quickly. Secret realms are generally developed by power, which are very rare and hard to come by. The spiritual Qi secret realm that Chen Daojun drew seems to be a bit different. Judging from the introduction, the space inside is not too big, and can only accommodate about 10 people at the same time. In the spiritual Qi secret realm, spirit power will be born continuously, which is a bit like an enhanced version of the spring of the spiritual pool. Every day, nearly 300,000 low-grade spirit stones of spiritual Qi can be born. It's just that this spiritual Qi will be stored in the spiritual Qi secret realm, it will not be lost, and it will continue to be superimposed. From the introduction, Chen Daojun did not see whether there is an upper limit to this superposition. This spiritual Qi secret realm is not bad, it can be used as a reward for disciples of the collateral line. As for the direct line, there is no need to ask for so much, just apply in advance. In any force, there will be a group of people who can enjoy many benefits without paying anything. Moreover, the Chen family is very united, and they all care about the family, and they are worthy of Chen Daojun's selfless cultivation. Chen Daojun raised his hand, and a huge stone carved with mysterious rune appeared in front of him. This is the entrance to the spirit power secret realm. Chen Daojun put his hand on the boulder, and his figure disappeared immediately. When he opened his eyes again, he had already appeared in a special space. Independent space. This is a method that can only be achieved by a power cultivator or higher in the void return period. Feeling the incomparably rich spirit power, Chen Daojun nodded in satisfaction. This kind of cultivation environment is helpful for nascent soul's long-term cultivation. It's just that if the nascent soul is practicing here, it will inevitably lead to the rapid absorption of spirit power. It is estimated that only 2 nascent souls can practice at the same time at most. But it should be enough for the children of the Chen family. Give Chen Xuan the spirit pool secret realm later. He is the person in charge of the collateral disciples, so it is more appropriate for him to control this thing. Now, inside the Chen family's meeting hall. Chen Wu led the 6 divine transformation late stages, while Chen Yun was still discussing with Qi Xiaohe, discussing how to control the forces in Dream River City. Including which forces have to be eliminated and which ones can be cultivated. Meet Chen Yun Elder. Chen Wu stood in front of the door and shouted. Chen Yun paused, looked towards the door, and when he saw it was Chen Wu, he immediately said, please come in, but does the patriarch have orders? Chen Wu walked in, and the 6 people behind him also walked in. When Chen Yun saw the strange faces behind him, his face was slightly taken aback. He already had a psychological shadow now, but every stranger he saw in Chen's house, he felt that they must be hidden bosses. Chen Yun cast a glance at Qi Xiaohe, and then asked, but is there anything important? After all, Qi Xiaohe is an outsider. If the matter is more important, he must be avoided for a while. Chen Wu immediately shook his head. It's not a big deal. The patriarch ordered that these 6 seniors will be members of my Chen family from now on. The patriarch asked Chen Yun elder to arrange them. Senior. Chen Yun's heart shuddered. Sure enough, he was definitely not an ordinary person. Can be called senior by Chen Wu, at least the nascent soul period. He immediately stood up and said in a friendly tone, everyone, please sit down. Seeing this, Chen Wu saluted with cupped hands and turned to leave. Chen Yun immediately said, come here, serve tea. After a while, someone immediately came forward to offer them tea. During this period, Chen Yun has been looking at them all the time. But he is only in the golden core stage, and the 6 divine transformation late stages all hide the cultivation base, so how could he see it? Chen Yun smiled and said, I still don't know how to address you. One of them immediately stood up and said with a smile, Chen Yun elder is polite, Shasha is warm. Hook Le Xin, Chen Zhou, Chen Kong. ... The 6 people said their names one by one. Ahem. Chen Yun coughed twice, and then pretended not to care and asked, I don't know what cultivation base you are, did the owner tell you what to do? Sha Hexu said with a smile, the next cultivation base is so-so, just a mere divine transformation late stage. Snapped. As soon as these words came out, the teacup that young Master Qi had just picked up fell directly on the ground, and a crisp sound resounded in the hall. He turned his head and looked at Sha Hexu in disbelief. What cultivation base? Can you say that again? Chen Yun almost crushed the armrest of the chair. Divine transformation late stage. Why are there so many strong people around the patriarch? Go Lexin also said, I'm just like Brother Sha, I'm just a divine transformation late stage. Chen Yun stared at the words, 2 divine transformation late stages. He never doubted what the 2 of them said, they were brought by the patriarch, and there was no need to lie to him. The remaining 4 also spoke one after another. The few of us are just divine transformation late stage. After several people finished speaking, the hall suddenly fell into dead silence. Chen Yun's eyes were full of shock. 6 divine transformation late stages, how could this be so perverted? This is the 6th divine transformation period. Where did the patriarch get it? Any person here is a strong person who can directly kill the rain. 16%. Chapter 52 Auction. Qi Xiaohe on the side had already set off a huge wave in his heart. The Chen family not only has only 2 divine transformation stages of combat power. There are still 6 divine transformation periods. The scene in front of him had a great impact on his young heart. The strength of the Chen family is so strong that no one can afford to provoke it. At this moment, Qi Xiaohe was full of joy in his heart. The strength of the Chen family is so strong, if it wasn't for his cleverness at the time, the Qi family's ending may not be too good now. Taking a deep breath, Qi Xiaohe became extremely happy again. Anyway, he is now hanging out with the Chen family. The stronger the Chen family's strength, the greater the benefits for him. Surely one should be happy when a strong man is own friend rather than foe. After Chen Yun listened to the words of several people, he was also extremely silent. Although he had thought that the patriarch might bring out some strong people again, he never thought that it would be the 6 divine transformation late stages. Who is the Chen family afraid of now? It's all scum. However, the Chen family doesn't have many things to deal with now. He and Chen Shan are more than enough. Chen Yun was also in a bit of trouble. These people are so powerful, it seems a bit redundant to ask them to do trivial things. There is a feeling of killing a chicken and a sledgehammer. But big things are completely useless. In the end, Chen Yun could only arrange for them to be a Dharma protector, and then be responsible for teaching the younger generation of the Chen family. When they had nothing to do, they could do whatever they wanted without any restrictions. The Chen family doesn't have things to do all the time, and he often drinks tea at the Chen family when he is free. In front of the Tengfei auction house, Chen Daojun looked up, and Duan Xiaohua was still following him. It's just that Duan Xiaohua's breath is restrained at the moment, and combined with his ordinary appearance, he is extremely inconspicuous in the crowd. Chen Daojun came here this time mainly to see what kind of model this Tengfei auction is, so that he can learn from it. In the future, the Chen family or the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce can also hold one. At the same time, it is also to relieve boredom. He was almost tired of staying in the Chen family, so he wanted to get some fresh air. Stop, you need to show an invitation to enter the auction, or pay an entrance fee of 100 low-grade spirit stones. A guard standing in front of Tengfei's auction immediately stopped Chen Daojun. Chen Daojun immediately frowned when he heard the words, he still needs an invitation card to go in. He didn't expect the invitation to have this kind of effect. After taking a look at the invitation yesterday, he immediately threw it away. Where is the invitation on his body? Seeing that Chen Daojun didn't respond, the guard glanced at Duan Xiaohua again, then frowned. He didn't notice a trace of cultivation base in Duan Xiaohua, that is to say, the other party is just an ordinary person, and looking at the other party's appearance, he is completely a servant. In this world, asking an ordinary person to be a bodyguard is simply laughing out loud. The guard said slowly, if you don't have spirit stones and invitations, you'd better leave quickly. If you want to enter the Tengfei auction, you will increase your knowledge, but you will have to pay a price. After all, not everyone can come here. Although his tone was very calm, it was extremely harsh to listen to, and his sarcasm was undisguised. Chen Daojun's age also looks very young, and he also doesn't have spirit power fluctuations on his body. Combined with the previous inference, he should be an ordinary person who wants to come here to learn a lot. And the servant behind him was supposed to be used to get on the scene. Chen Daojun frowned when he heard this. According to this development, wouldn't it be possible to encounter the legendary face-slapping plot? The truth is too bloody. Watchdogs are so arrogant. But this is normal. Tengfei Chamber of Commerce is the #1 chamber of commerce in Meng City. These guards naturally have some sense of superiority, and he and Duan Xiaohua are too low-key, completely no different from ordinary people. Although Chen Daojun was well known in Dream River City, not many people had seen him, so the guard didn't know him at all. Chen Daojun shook his head, and directly handed over 100 low-grade spirit stones. Since it was an own mistake, it doesn't matter if you give some spirit stones. Desperate to save face, pretend to be something. Seeing that Chen Daojun really gave out 100 low-grade spirit stones, the guard couldn't help but sneer again. Hearing this, Chen Daojun's eyes turned cold, and he looked coldly at the guard. This is the sorrow of some people. They are obviously at the bottom of life, but when they meet someone worse than him, they will crazily show their sense of superiority. If you must seek death, then fulfill him. Chen Daojun glanced back at Duan Xiaohua, then turned his head and walked towards Tengfei Chamber of Commerce. Seeing that Chen Daojun ignored him at all, the guard suddenly had murderous intent in his eyes, and he sneered again, a poor boy, I don't know what to pretend here, and he found a servant to follow him to save face. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw that Duan Xiaohua was going in too, so he quickly reprimanded. 100 spirit stones per person, only one person can enter. Without saying a word, Duan Xiaohua took out 100 low-grade spirit stones and put them on the table. Then he glanced at him, and then walked straight inside. As soon as he turned his head, the guard was bleeding from all 7 orifices, and lay on the ground with a face full of pain. Ah! The ear-piercing screams sounded, making countless people feel their scalps go numb. I saw that the guard quickly turned black and blue, with bulging veins, blood in his eyes, and the screams continued to ring out. What the hell is going on here? The other guard saw this scene. His eyes were full of horror. Then he turned his head to look at the backs of Chen Daojun and Duan Xiaohua, and ran away to report. This matter must have been done by the two of them. The surrounding guests who came here to participate in the auction also showed serious expressions when they saw this scene. Who did this? Poisoned or what? Someone dared to poison the members of the Tengfei Chamber of Commerce. This is really not afraid of death. Discussions continued to ring out, and everyone was extremely surprised by the scene in front of them. And Chen Daojun didn't pay attention to the situation behind him at all. After entering the Tengfei auction, he randomly found an empty seat and sat down, while Duan Xiaohua sat quietly beside him. It wasn't until both of them sat down that Chen Daojun asked, "What cultivation technique are you practicing?" Duan Xiaohua responded respectfully, "Patriarch, what the villain is practicing is Gu art." Insanity. Chen Daojun suddenly showed interest. This is a body refining system that he has never been in contact with. Explain to me in detail. Duan Xiaohua immediately said. The villain mainly relies on 10,000 GU records to cultivate GU skills, and there are 10 kinds of GU skills recorded in it, as well as 3,000 kinds of GU skills cultivation methods. Cultivating GU art is to change the form and function of one's own spirit power, just like practicing cultivation technique. However, practicing GU art has extremely high requirements on oneself, and most people can only bear one type of GU art. Such as Poison GU, Strength GU, Spirit GU, Soul Devouring GU, etc., you can only choose one of them. Poison GU is just a general term. After cultivation, you can raise GU, or transform GU with spiritual chi, and you can also practice Poison GU skills. Like the villain's method of killing people just now, he used Poison GU. Like other Strength GU, it can greatly increase physical strength, even stronger than some body cultivators. Chen Daojun asked again. Then how many kinds of GU skills have you practiced? Duan Xiaohua directly revealed the whole thing. The villain is a body of 10,000 poisons, so there are 9 kinds of cultivation. Chen Daojun suddenly showed surprise. 9 kinds of GU, it seems that the opponent's strength is quite strong. While the two were talking, a loud voice sounded from the entrance of the Tengfei auction. Another guard at the entrance led a large group of people in, and everyone was aggressive. After walking in, the guard glanced around, and soon found Chen Daojun, so he immediately pointed at Daojun and shouted. Second steward, that's him. They killed Shu Lin just now. 17%. Chapter 53 Patriarch Chen. How is this going? It seems that someone killed the guard of the Tengfei Chamber of Commerce just now, and that person hasn't left yet, it's inside. Who is so fierce that he dares to offend people from the Tengfei Chamber of Commerce? I don't know about that. I heard that he is a fledgling young man who doesn't know the heights of the sky and the earth. Discussions immediately rang out in the Tengfei auction, and many people looked at it with dazed expressions, obviously not knowing what happened. The second steward looked in the direction of the guards, and saw Chen Daojun sitting there with a relaxed expression, as steady as Mount Tai. His face was extremely gloomy, and he never thought that there would be someone who dared to be so presumptuous in front of their Tengfei Chamber of Commerce. And after killing him, he didn't run away, but dared to stay. If they don't solve it properly today, then they will become a joke in Dream River City. On the day when the auction started, most of the forces in Dream River City would come, but this happened. The second manager immediately stepped forward and asked in a cold tone, "You two, the guards at the gate, were you the ones who killed them?" The moment he opened his mouth, many people at the auction turned towards Chen Daojun, wanting to see who the fierce man who dared to offend the Tengfei Chamber of Commerce was. But immediately someone stood up with a terrified expression. Patriarch Chen. In Dream River City, almost all the major Golden Core forces knew him. Of course, they are only the patriarchs or core figures of the major forces. But today's auction is particularly important. The Tengfei Chamber of Commerce put up 10 Kaling pills for auction, so it attracted all the major Golden Core forces in the city. Some people recognized Chen Daojun at a glance. Hiss. The Tengfei Chamber of Commerce is about to collide with the Chen family. Judging by the appearance of the second steward, it seems that he doesn't know Patriarch Chen at all. Some people sat and watched the show coldly, but some people wanted to please the Tengfei Chamber of Commerce, so they sent people to send messages secretly. Doing so will not offend the Chen family, and there is still a chance to gain the favor of the Tengfei Chamber of Commerce. Chen Daojun didn't speak. Duan Xiaohua stood up slowly, and said calmly. It's right down. There is nothing to hide, and there is no need to hide it. Hiss. In the Tengfei auction, many people gasped suddenly. They didn't expect to kill the guards of the Tengfei Chamber of Commerce to be so stubborn. The people who know Chen Daojun, after all, is a small part, and there are many people who don't know him at all. When the second manager heard this, his eyelids twitched, and his expression became extremely cold. This provocative taste is too strong. He killed someone, and confessed directly. This is no different from hitting them directly in the face of the Tengfei Chamber of Commerce. The second steward was also laughed angrily, and he said coldly, "Okay, very good, the person who killed my Tengfei Chamber of Commerce dared to come in swaggeringly." Duan Xiaohua didn't speak, just looked at him so lightly. Seeing that he was so calm, the second steward, although extremely angry in his heart, could tell him instinctively that the person in front of him was definitely not simple due to his many years of experience in observing words and expressions. The Tengfei Chamber of Commerce is very popular in Meng City, and it is impossible for anyone not to know about it. And after being able to kill someone, he walked in swaggeringly, obviously he was not afraid of them at all. In this case, either he is really stupid, or he is really powerful. The second steward took a deep breath, and suppressed the anger in his heart. "Brother, why don't you give me a reason for killing my guard at the Tengfei auction? If you can't give a reason, today's things may not be good." Duan Xiaohua looked calm, and said indifferently, the reason, is it because he is unhappy? Hearing these words, many people in the Tengfei auction gasped again. So arrogant, just because seeing him is not happy, you want to kill him. Although it is normal for such a thing to happen in this world, the other party is the Tengfei Chamber of Commerce. The Tengfei Chamber of Commerce is not a local force in Dream River City. It has a strong background. Even if it is a force in the divine transformation period, it dare not easily provoke it. How dare he? The second steward couldn't hold back his anger any longer. He opened his mouth and shouted angrily, take him down for me. Stop. There was a loud shout, and then Zhou Qi's figure appeared. People from the Tengfei Chamber of Commerce all saluted when they saw him. Meet the chief steward. The second steward also hurriedly saluted. Zhou Qi ignored the second steward, but quickly walked towards Chen Daojun. Under the astonished eyes of everyone, he cupped hands and said, I have met Patriarch Chen. The people in the Chamber of Commerce are ignorant, and they've made things difficult for you. Your lord doesn't care about villains. As for the matter of killing the guard, it's just a guard. If you kill it, you'll kill it. It's no big deal. Zhou Qi kept his posture very low, with a very respectful expression on his face. The Chen family is too strong. It's just killing a guard. There is no need to provoke it. Their Tengfei Chamber of Commerce is a businessman, and naturally their purpose is to make temporary profits. The Chen family has two major battle strengths, and the Tengfei Chamber of Commerce cannot offend the other party if it is not necessary. One more friend is better than one more enemy. Zhou Qi's words immediately surprised many people at the Tengfei auction. They all looked at Chen Daojun with terrified eyes. This is the owner of the Chen family. No wonder the person who dared to kill the Tengfei Chamber of Commerce can still sit here so confidently. In Meng City, the Chen family is the only one who can convince the Tengfei Chamber of Commerce, right? Unexpectedly, the famous Patriarch Chen is so young. The rumors about him are that he is a strong strategist. I thought he was at least middle-aged. Patriarch Chen heard that he is not very old, only in his 20s, and this appearance is normal. Hey, at this age, with such a cultivation base, and being able to control so many powerful people, it's simply heaven-defying. Discussions kept coming to mind. Everyone was talking about Chen Daojun, obviously extremely curious about this Patriarch Chen. Chen Daojun also turned his head to look at Zhou Qi. The other party's attitude was very friendly, and he didn't need to shake his face, so he slightly cupped his hands and said, it's just a small matter. Zhou Qi said with a smile on his face, Patriarch Chen, why don't I change a box for you? When he said this, he was a little puzzled. Zhou Qi remembered very clearly that the invitation to the Chen family was a golden invitation, which meant a distinguished guest. It stands to reason that as soon as Chen Daojun comes to the Tengfei auction, someone will come to tell him. And with the golden invitation card, you can sit in the box for free, so why did the guard be killed? In the end, Zhou Qi could only attribute it to the fact that Chen Daojun didn't take the invitation and was teased by the guards, which led to the subsequent conflict. He has managed Tengfei merchants for many years, and has encountered similar things many times. Some big shots just like to keep a low profile and enjoy the feeling of private visits in microservices. Chen Daojun waved his hand. No need, this place is bright. Hearing this, Zhou Qi didn't say any more, and he could tell that Chen Daojun didn't seem to want to continue talking with him. Anyway, he is a businessman, so he still has the ability to read words and deeds. 17%. Chapter 54 Breakthrough. When the second steward heard that the person in front of him turned out to be Chen Daojun, he was instantly dumbfounded. When he saw Duan Xiaohua's appearance before, he felt that the other party had some extraordinary backgrounds. Maybe he was too angry and didn't think about it, but now that he thinks about it carefully, his scalp suddenly feels numb and his whole body is cold. If he really wanted to take down the two, would he end up like the guards outside the door? The second steward swallowed, and hurried up, just about to make an apology, but was stopped by Zhou Qi. Chen Daojun didn't hold him accountable. Obviously he just didn't intend to intervene. The goodwill has been lost, and there is no point in apologizing. The main reason is that Chen Daojun's willingness to talk is too weak. It is the most correct way not to disturb him at this time. I can only look back and find another opportunity to go to Chen's house to apologize. Knowing that Chen Daojun was here, the auction was obviously much quieter than before, and no one dared to speak loudly for fear of disturbing Chen Daojun. In this world, the weak are so cautious in front of the strong. In a world without laws, killing people is commonplace. If you want to live long, you must be cautious. As more and more people came, the auction started normally. A woman with an outstanding appearance stood in the middle of the stage and said loudly, "The first auction item, a yellow rank intermediate Qingfeng sword, has a starting price of 100,000 and the lower rank spirit stones." After the woman finished speaking, the auction suddenly sounded with quotations. 100,000 low-grade spirit stones. 102,000 low-grade spirit stones. 100,000. In the end, the item was bought for 130,000 yuan. And Chen Daojun just watched, and had no intention of making a move. The things in this kind of auction are too low level, not only useless to him, but also useless to the Chen family. Bought it back and it was just garbage. And his identity is here. If he makes an offer, who would dare to follow? But Chen Daojun only came out to play, to get some fresh air, not to buy things. Suddenly, a beautiful young girl walked towards the two of them holding 2 glasses of bright red water, then she lowered her body slightly and said, "My lord, this is the fire dragon tea prepared for you. If you finish drinking, you can call me, I will be right behind." Chen Daojun nodded. The girl gently put the dragon tea on the tray beside her, and at the same time, she secretly looked at Chen Daojun with her bright eyes, her pretty face flushed slightly. So young, yet so strong. If only I could marry him. No, even if it's a servant girl, it's fine. Thoughts flashed through the girl's mind, but it was a pity that Chen Daojun didn't even look at her, which made the girl a little disappointed. Soon, as the items in the Tengfei auction got better and better, the atmosphere on the scene became hotter, and Chen Daojun even wanted to enter the venue to play a game and enjoy the passion of bidding. But this kind of thought is just a thought, and he didn't enter the venue. When the Kaling pill was released, the entire auction was in full swing, and the voices of bidding kept ringing out. Chen Daojun couldn't help shaking his head. Panacea. This is what the Chen family lacks most. Before the auction ended, Chen Daojun left early and returned to the Chen family. There was no point in continuing to stay, and he felt that he was about to break through. In the past 2 days, the number of people in the Chen family has increased dramatically, and the number of cultivation bases returned to him has also increased dramatically. Seeing Chen Daojun come back, the 2 guards at the door shouted respectfully, "Meet the patriarch." Chen Daojun nodded slightly, and walked into Chen's house. In Qingxin courtyard, as soon as Chen Daojun sat down cross-legged, an incomparably powerful aura erupted instantly, which surprised the Chen family members who were practicing. The eyes that looked into the depths of the inner courtyard were full of shock. Patriarch has broken through the nascent soul late stage. My God, a breakthrough in 2 or 3 days. Want to be so perverted? This speed is too terrifying. Even if it is a peerless genius, it is impossible to achieve such an easy genius, right? At least the Chen family has never heard of such a breakthrough speed. If it continues to develop like this, wouldn't the patriarch be able to break through the divine transformation period soon? Thinking of this, many people felt that their scalps were troublesome, and immediately began to bury their heads in hard work. After breaking through the cultivation base, Chen Daojun smiled and felt a little more secure. The higher the cultivation base, the more he can make up for his lack of combat experience. At the late stage, the quality can directly crush everything. No matter how rich your combat experience is, it is meaningless in the face of absolute strength and speed. Chen Daojun took a deep breath, feeling the rich spiritual qi in the air. He was smiling, the Chen family was getting better. Chen Daojun said, "Chen Wu, ask Chen Xuan to bring the 3 elders of the collateral lineage to see me." Chen Wu respectfully nodded, "Yes." Not long after, 3 figures walked into the Qingxinyuan, the leader of which was Chen Xuan, and the person in charge of the 3 branches behind him. Chen Huan, Chen Penghai, Chen Yi. The 4 respectfully saluted and said, "Greetings to Patriarch." The heads of the 3 major branches all looked a little panicked, not knowing why the Patriarch summoned him. After all, they are only collaterals, and Chen Xuan usually asks Chen Xuan to communicate to them directly. It is very rare to let them come to Qingxinyuan directly like today. Chen Daojun waved his hand, and the entrance to the spiritual qi secret realm appeared in the middle of the group of people. This thing is the entrance to the secret realm, named spiritual qi secret realm, which contains rich spiritual qi. It can be used for closed-door training or breakthrough, but it can only be used for cultivation below the nascent soul stage. It can be used at the same time. It can only accommodate 10 people, and the nascent soul period can only accommodate 2 people at the same time. Chen Xuan, I entrust this to you, and collateral disciples can also use it. Secret realm. Chen Shuan was startled immediately. This is something that all the top powers regard as treasures, and he didn't expect that the Chen family could also have it. As for the leaders of the three major branches, all of them were beaming with joy. It was unexpected that such a good thing would have a part in the branch. Chen Daojun continued. You can go in and feel it, just put your hand on the stone tablet. Chen Shuan nodded, then put his hand into the steel. In an instant, his figure disappeared in place. Then quickly back to the spot again. Chen Shuan's eyes were full of shock. The spirit power inside was too strong. It was an excellent place for breakthrough cultivation. With this secret realm, the Chen family will be able to grow faster. Chen Daojun also nodded, looked at Chen Huan and the other three, and said slowly. Is there anything major happening in the collateral recently? The three of Chen Huan immediately bowed and said, I would like to report to the patriarch, under the leadership of Chen Shuan Elder, everything in the sideline is as usual. Chen Daojun nodded slowly, and said with a smile on his face, yes, the collateral is also from my Chen family. If you work hard for the Chen family, the head of the family will not treat you badly. The head of the family also hopes that there will be a few geniuses in the collateral. It's actually nothing to ask the three principals of the collateral branch to come here, but I just want to take care of them as the head of the family. Chen Huan was shocked when he heard the words. He didn't expect that the patriarch actually had collateral in his heart, which made him extremely excited. Chen Huan immediately knelt down and said respectfully, Thank you, patriarch. Seeing this, the other two followed suit. 17%. Chapter 55. The next day, early morning. The tree of thorns grew stronger and stronger. Nearly half of the entire Qingxinyuan was almost wrapped in vines and leaves, and it looked a little fresh. Chen Daojun stretched, then turned on the system to start today's lottery. The lottery is successful. Congratulations on winning 540 million low-rank spirit stones. The lucky draw is successful. Congratulations on getting the 25 springs of the spirit pool. The lucky draw is successful. Congratulations on getting the summoned character, Void Return Late Stage Cultivation Base, and Mysterious Rank Senior Formation Teacher. Finally, there is another summoned character in the Void Return stage, and it is also the cultivation base of the Void Return Late Stage. This is what Chen Daojun most wants to smoke. The Chen family's style of acting is relatively public, which may be due to his personality. Low-key development, it's out of the question. But publicity does not mean unscrupulous, and he will not be stupid to provoke those powerful enemies. Or it was so powerful that he couldn't provoke enemies in a short time. Huang Yu's strength in the celestial star realm is not that strong. Chen Daojun reckoned that those strongest cultivators would probably be indistinguishable in due date. The other two rewards, such as spirit stones and Lingqi spring eyes, are not so helpful to Chen Daojun. Call. In an instant, an elegant middle-aged man appeared in front of him, and immediately knelt down towards Chen Daojun. Kangshu, pay homage to the patriarch. Sensing the powerful fluctuations in Kangshu's body, Chen Daojun nodded in satisfaction. Returning to the late stage and still being a formation master, the Chen family can be considered to have some self-protection power in this wasteland. Chen Daojun said, Kangshu, the head of the family ordered you to set up a formation in the Chen family. As far as you can, set up the strongest defensive formation. Dream River City will also need to establish a formation guard in the future, but the Chen family must be given priority. Kang Shu immediately said, Obey. As soon as he finished speaking, a voice sounded from outside the yard. Patriarch, Chen Yun is asking to see you. Chen Daojun immediately said, Come in. Soon, Chen Yun walked in, and behind him were Chen Shang, Chen Shan and others. After entering Qingxinyuan, a group of them saluted one after another. Meet the patriarch. After finishing speaking, Chen Yun glanced at Kang Shu suspiciously, his eyes full of seriousness. I'm coming. Strange faces are here again. This time it won't be the boss of the divine transformation period again, right? As soon as they left, Feng Ling's figure also appeared outside the yard, and he immediately ran to Chen Daojun, rubbing him affectionately. Chen Daojun rubbed Feng Ling's hair with a smile on his face. After this period of training, the strength of the disciples of the Chen family has improved rapidly. Chen Shang, the fourth floor of the golden core, but the spirit power looks a little vain, obviously it is improved by taking the elixir. Chen Yun, the sixth floor of golden core. Chen Jin, the fourth floor of golden core. Chen Yi, the third floor of golden core. Chen Shan, the fifth floor of golden core. Chen Kui, golden core. After looking around, Chen Daojun nodded in satisfaction. If they continue to develop like this, their cultivation base should be able to collectively break through the nascent soul stage soon. Although realm is a bit flashy, it doesn't matter much. Chen Daojun said with a smile. That's right, it seems that you haven't been wasted during this time. Seeing the patriarch's smile, all the Chen family breathed a sigh of relief, fearing that Chen Daojun would be dissatisfied. Chen Daojun took out several universe bags, and then threw them towards Chen Yun. Here are 500 million low-grade spirit stones, which can be used for cultivation or to buy other resources. Most of the training resources he gets in each lottery draw are medicine pills. But besides the medicine pill, there are many heavenly and mortal treasures, which are still of great benefit to cultivation. You can take these spirit stones to buy other training resources. 500 million. Chen Yun felt dizzy that there were so many spirit stones. But fortunately, there were too many things that shocked him recently, so he quickly came back to his senses. Obey. Chen Daojun nodded, accused Kangshu and said. This name is Kangshu, and he is a senior formation teacher of mysterious rank. He will work for the Chen family in the future and arrange formations. If he has any needs, he will do his best to meet them. Chen Yun was taken aback. He turned his head and looked at Kangshu in disbelief. Mysterious rank senior formulator. This is the period of returning to the void. Everyone in the Chen family also looked stunned, and there was a huge wave in their hearts. The patriarch was able to find a mysterious rank senior formationist. Before they could react, Chen Daojun's calm voice sounded again. By the way, his cultivation base is also a late-stage void return. If you don't understand anything about cultivation, you can go to him. If you are interested in formation, you can also go to him to learn. Return to late stage. Chen Daojun's words hit their hearts instantly like a boulder. Chen Yun and the others were all shocked, and their pupils were full of shock and disbelief. Return to void. This is back to the void. Chen Yun swallowed, his expression shocked. I knew that the strange faces in the Chen family must not be ordinary people. Oh my god, who the hell is the patriarch? At this moment, Chen Yun was completely confused, and he found that he seemed to be very strange to the patriarch in front of him. No, the patriarch is no longer the original Chen Daojun. The Chen family has a late stage of void return. Who is there to be afraid of in this wasteland? Returning to the void stage is already considered a top powerhouse in the wasteland. Chen Yun thought of Duan Xiaohua at the door. Wouldn't that person also be in the void return stage? Kangshu showed a modest smile. It's a pleasure to meet you. Everyone in the Chen family immediately cupped their hands in return. This is the power in the void return stage. Kangshu then turned his head to look at Chen Daojun with an extremely respectful expression. The villain is going to arrange the formation first. Chen Daojun nodded lightly, and then the pale figure disappeared in place in an instant. Seeing that Kangshu, who is in the void returning stage, is so respectful to the head of the family, and even calls himself a villain, everyone in the Chen family is dumbfounded. That doesn't look like working for the Chen family at all, it's more like submitting directly to the Chen family. But they really don't understand why the patriarch is only in the nascent soul stage, but can subdue a strong man like the void return stage. Okay, the next thing is business. Chen Daojun's voice sounded, pulling their minds back. Everyone suppressed the shock in their hearts and looked at Chen Daojun with serious expressions. Chen Daojun stood up, walked to Chen Zhang's side, then immediately raised his hand, thinking silently. Use God's spiritual roots. In an instant, an incomparably mysterious power poured into Chen Zhang's body. Soon, Chen Zhang's body began to change, and an extremely hot feeling emerged. After a few breaths, this hot feeling suddenly intensified, a flame burst out from Chen Zhang's body, and his whole body was like a fire god possessed. What's this? Everyone in the Chen family was shocked. Compared to before, Chen Zhang's aura was more than twice as strong, and the originally fluffy realm on his body also became solid. Chen Daojun said with a smile on his face. Fire attribute, heaven spiritual roots, not bad. Chen Daojun's voice exploded in everyone's minds like thunder. What? 18%. Chapter 56 Acacia Sect. Feeling the hot spirit power in his body, Chen Shang was full of excitement. Patriarch, this. As a personal experiencer, he naturally felt the most real, and the changes on his body were exactly the same as the legendary heavenly spiritual roots. Generally, as long as it is spiritual roots with attributes, innate can control some power of that attribute, and the fire attribute power in his body is simply too strong. Even top-grade spiritual roots is extremely difficult to achieve this level. And not only the power of the fire attribute, but also the strength of own physical body, the speed of absorbing spirit power, all have a leap increase. Chen Daojun said indifferently. My patriarch has awakened the fire attribute sky spiritual roots for you. How did I do it? Don't ask. Chen Shang didn't intend to ask at all, he just knelt down and said with joy in his expression. Thank you, patriarch. Chen Yun, Chen Shan and the others also looked delighted. The reason why the Chen family was so weak in Dream River City was actually because of talent. The talent of the Chen family is too bad, and the middle grade spiritual roots is already the limit, and there is no breakthrough to strengthen the family. And the heavenly spiritual roots will surely reach the qualification of the divine transformation period in the future. But compared to Chen Zhang's birth of heavenly spiritual roots, they were even more shocked that the patriarch could actually make people be born with heavenly spiritual roots the day after tomorrow. Such a capability is unheard of. Even in the entire wasteland, such a thing has never happened. There have been things to improve spiritual roots, but that can only be done through some extremely precious heavenly and mortal treasures. But the patriarch didn't use heavenly and mortal treasures at all, just waved his hand to achieve this effect. Chen Yun and the others were extremely shocked. The owner of the family is really too mysterious. Not only can he advance so quickly, but also bring back strong people in a steady stream, and now he can bestow spiritual roots on others. Everything you do is incredible, unbelievable. Chen Daojun ignored them, but continued to activate heavenly spiritual roots for Chen Jin. Soon, Chen Jin burst out with vitality. Wood attributes. Whoops, another day spiritual roots. Chen Daojun awakened both of them to spiritual roots one after another, which made them both shocked and delighted. Can I also have the heavenly spiritual roots? The patriarch invited them to come, so he couldn't leave himself out. Chen Jin's face was full of joy. Thank you, patriarch. Chen Daojun nodded, then looked towards the next person, and started to activate for others. It didn't take long for all 9 of them to wake up to spiritual roots. But Chen Daojun is still a pity. They are all awakened spiritual roots of the 5 elements attribute, and have not awakened those special spiritual roots, such as thunder attribute, wind attribute and so on. Compared with the spiritual roots of the 5 elements attribute, the spiritual roots of the special attribute are obviously stronger. But it doesn't matter anymore. Being able to awaken the heavenly spiritual roots is at least much stronger than before. Chen Yun and the others all looked excited. 9 Heaven Spiritual Roots Cultivator. Is the rise of the Chen family still far away? Although they have risen now, they rely more on outsiders. In Chen Yun's mind, only the Chen family members stand up can they truly rise. Chen Daojun said, you are all people who are valued by the head of the family, practice hard, and don't let me down. There is also Chen Yi and Chen Shang. Since you want to cultivate your own power, you should make a show. The owner of this family is looking forward to your power being famous in the wilderness and even the entire celestial star realm in the future. Hearing this, Chen Yi and Chen Shang were all shocked. Is it famous in the wilderness, or even in the entire celestial star realm? To be honest, they never thought about such a thing. Chen Shang and Chen Jin went out to forge ahead and wanted to create their own forces, mostly because they were influenced by Chen Daojun, but in fact they had no direction. Chen Yi opened the Ziyuan Chamber of Commerce more because of her hobby. At this moment, Chen Daojun's words gave them a direction, where to go in the future. The 3 of Chen Yi and Chen Shang all looked respectful and said in a sonorous and forceful tone. I'll wait, and I will live up to the expectations of the patriarch. Chen Daojun nodded in satisfaction, and then said to Chen Yun. You ask Sha Hexu and the others to reproduce the cultivation technique they cultivated, and then build a Buddhist scripture pavilion in the Chen family, and put all the cultivation techniques in it. The Chen family's shortcomings in cultivation technique are too obvious, and they need to make up for it. For cultivators, the help brought by cultivation technique is very powerful. Especially after the nascent soul stage, it is almost always a battle between supernatural power spells, and the importance of cultivation technique can be imagined. Chen Yun immediately nodded respectfully, of order. At this moment, everyone in the Chen family respected Chen Daojun to the extreme. Chen Daojun is not only their pillar, but also the belief in their hearts. It seems that as long as Chen Daojun is present, everyone in the Chen family will feel safe in their hearts. Chen Daojun nodded. Go down. Chen Yun and others immediately saluted respectfully, then turned and left, and their faces were all excited. After they left, Chen Daojun went back to the backyard and lay down on the bed of own tree with enjoyment all over his face. It's time for leisure again. Just as Chen Daojun squinted for a while, Chen Yuanliang's voice sounded outside the yard. Patriarch, Chen Yuanliang asks to see you. Chen Daojun stood up and walked towards the front yard. Come in. Chen Yuanliang walked in immediately, knelt down and said respectfully, let me tell the Patriarch that the world has already deployed hidden weapons in White Cloud City, Wuyu City and Dream River City, but because the scale has not really risen, so currently only control some of the larger things. Chen Daojun asked, let's listen. Chen Yuanliang immediately said, just last month in Wuyu City, there was a person who broke through the nascent soul stage, named Zhang Chan. Now there are 5 nascent soul stage forces in Wuyu City. Other than that, nothing major happened. The same is true for White Cloud City. Nothing major happened. However, there are a few small things. The lady of the Lin family in White Cloud City has awakened the top-grade spiritual roots of the water attribute. I heard that the lady of the Lin family is extraordinary in appearance and is a rare beauty. In the end, she was spotted by the elder of the Acacia sect. And that elder of the Heihuan sect is not young, he is no different from an old man. Because of this, the Lin family has become a joke in White Cloud City. Acacia sect. Chen Daojun frowned. This sect is not a good thing. I heard that they are practicing dual cultivation technique, such as accepting apprentices. In fact, they are not accepting apprentices at all, but people who are suitable for practicing dual cultivation technique. As a disciple, you have practiced dual cultivation technique, so you must find someone for dual cultivation. That being the case, let Wei teacher do the work for me. In Heihuan sect, it is the same regardless of men and women. Chen Daojun still remembers that there used to be a person in Dream River City who was taken away by a female elder of the Heihuan sect, and then the master and apprentice. Of course, these were the news that spread to Dream River City later, and Chen Daojun didn't know if it was true or not. But certainly not far from the truth. However, although the Acacia sect cultivates the dual cultivation technique, it is not the way of collecting yin and nourishing yang like the demon sect, but the right way. After dual cultivation, both sides will increase the cultivation base. It's just that in terms of ethics and morality, the reputation of the Heihuan sect has always been very bad. 18%. Chapter 57 The Lin Family. What's more, the Lord of White Cloud City doesn't seem to be as simple as it appears on the surface. He seems to have other forces behind him. Chen Yuanliang's voice continued to sound. Chen Daojun frowned. Other forces, do you know what they are? Chen Yuanliang responded respectfully. I'm not very clear, but I think the jade talisman he used was specially made. After finishing speaking, he immediately waved to the ground, and a pattern of Tai Chi 8 trigrams suddenly appeared. Chen Daojun frowned. Thinking for a long time, he suddenly withdrew his mind. Well, nothing came to mind. Chen Daojun ordered. Inquire with me right away. All you need to know is whether this force is in the wilderness or outside the wilderness. Immediately, we will attack White Cloud City. If the opponent is just a local force in the wasteland, then there is nothing to be afraid of. I'm afraid that if it's not from the wasteland, then it might be a bit unprovoked. Chen Yuanliang saluted respectfully. Obey. After speaking, his figure disappeared in place. Chen Daojun moved his body a bit, his face relaxed. With the Vientiane organization, he is indeed much more comfortable, at least he can know what is happening outside at any time. Then he remembered the first message Chen Yuanliang said. Ms. Lin, top-rank spiritual roots, and she's also very good-looking. It would be appropriate if she was allowed to be her maidservant. Chen Daojun was suddenly speechless. Why didn't the system pull out some maids? All of them were strong men with thick arms and thick legs. As the dignified patriarch of the Chen family, he doesn't even have a servant girl to serve him. Why? Chen Daojun stood up and went to see what was going on. If she was not bad, he took her in as a maid. Xiaohua, come with me. Duan Xiaohua outside the courtyard immediately said respectfully, obey. The two figures disappeared within the Chen family in an instant, heading towards White Cloud City. White Cloud City is not far from Dream River City, plus Chen Daojun is also the cultivation base of nascent soul late stage. Within less than a cup of tea, the two arrived in White Cloud City. The scale of White Cloud City is almost the same as that of Dream River City, and there is not much difference in strength. Chen Daojun sensed it slightly, and went directly in one direction. This Lin family is also a family in the nascent soul stage, and it is not difficult to find them. Now, inside the Lin family, Lin Wanqing's face was pale, and she sat by the pavilion with dull eyes. She was wearing a light green dress with a silk scarf tightly around her waist, showing off her curvy figure to the fullest. A pair of pure eyes were full of sadness. On the exquisite facial features, there is a bit of helplessness and confusion, which makes people can't help but hold her in her arms and take pity on her. And beside him stood a middle-aged man. Seeing Lin Wanqing's appearance, the middle-aged man couldn't help but sighed, his expression full of helplessness. Top-rank spiritual roots, this is already considered a pretty good talent. It had a bright future, but it ended up being taken by the members of the Heihuan sect. The Acacia sect is powerful, and there are 3 cultivators of the divine transformation period in the sect. The one who accepted Lin Wanqing as his disciple was the elder of the Heihuan sect, and he was one of the cultivators of the divine transformation period. Such a strong man is simply not something their Lin family can provoke. Thinking of this, Lin Mu couldn't help sighing. The reputation of the Albizia sect is extremely bad, and once the elder is accepted as a disciple, the consequences can be imagined. Lin Mu's mood these past few days has been extremely painful. As a father, he can only watch his daughter fall into the fire pit, and there is nothing he can do. There are still so many people in the Lin family here, if they want to escape, the Heihuan sect can easily find them. And if Lin Wanqing was gone, the Heihuan sect would definitely blame the Lin family. No matter what you do, it is an unsolvable dead end. Only by allowing Lin Wanqing to enter the Heihuan sect safely can all problems be solved. But the consequence is that his daughter will become an old man's plaything. Lin Wanqing's mother cried to death in the past few days, and even fainted several times. Lin Mu sighed deeply, his eyes full of desolation. He whispered, "Wanqing, it's because father is incompetent, father can't protect you. He is just a nascent soul middle stage, there is no way to fight against the Heihuan sect." In the eyes of the Lin family, the Heihuan sect is a colossal monster that they cannot provoke. The Lin family has nearly 1,000 people, and 300 direct descendants. If they confronted the Heihuan sect, the Lin family would be exterminated. They couldn't bear such a consequence. Lin Wanqing didn't speak, but looked into the distance with dull eyes, her face ashen. Why didn't she know the difficulties of the Lin family, but why did she have to sacrifice herself? Every time Lin Wanqing thought of the appearance of that big elder, she couldn't help but feel nauseated. If something happened to such a person, she would rather die. Many times, Lin Wanqing wanted to be a selfish ghost and leave the Lin family. But seeing the appearance of her parents and many relatives of the Lin family, she finally held back. If he leaves, the Lin family will suffer. She couldn't bear it. Lin Wanqing said with dark eyes, "Father, you don't have to blame yourself, everything is Wanqing's own choice, and I am willing to be the disciple of the elder of the Acacia sect. Since the result cannot be changed, it is good to make parents feel better." Moreover, although the Acacia sect is very famous, at least they are not practicing the Devil Dao cultivation technique. After dual cultivation, maybe their cultivation base can skyrocket. Although Lin Wanqing comforted himself in this way, he still couldn't be happy. Every time he thought of the appearance of that big elder, his whole body trembled and his scalp felt numb. Crystal clear tears dripped from her eyes, silently. Except for the tears falling from her eyes, Lin Wanqing's expression remained unchanged, as before, with a look of despair and helplessness. Seeing this scene, Lin Mu blamed himself even more, his eyes were red and his fists were clenched. Lin Wanqing has always regarded her as the apple of his eye, and has loved her in every possible way since he was a child. Seeing his own daughter step by step into the pit of fire is the most painful thing in his heart. But facing Huanzong, he was powerless. A sense of despair pervades. Both of them were silent, and the atmosphere was extremely depressing. Suddenly, footsteps sounded in the yard. Lin Mu was shocked, and his hair stood upside down. Who, the Lin family who dared to trespass? While speaking, the breath on his body exploded, and the whole person was like a bucket of angry lions. He turned his head and saw a refined-looking young man and an ordinary-looking middle-aged man walking towards them. The middle-aged man waved his hand, and the aura on his body disappeared immediately. Lin Mu froze, as if being choked by the throat, his eyes were full of horror. So strong. Divine transformation period. No, it's impossible. It is impossible for the divine transformation period to be so strong. Lin Mu felt that in front of him, he could not even resist, as if he was not facing a person, but a mountain, which made him breathless. 18%. Chapter 58 Destruction of the Acacia Sect. Lin Mu's eyes were full of horror. Divine transformation period on top. Return to void period. Although he doesn't know the specific body cultivator of the person in front of him, judging from the strength, it is simply much stronger than the divine transformation stage. Even the big elder of the Heihuan sect, compared with him, the gap is too big. And such a powerful person can only be in the void return period. Lin Mu swallowed his saliva, and quickly went up and said respectfully, Lin Mu, the head of the Shaline family, I don't know why the senior came here. Duan Xiaohua glanced at him, and then said lightly, I'm just a guard of the patriarch. Patriarch, guard. Lin Mu suddenly felt his scalp tingling. What kind of power can make a void returning period become a guard? He was also terrified in his heart. Such a power might be far beyond the understanding of the Lin family, even far stronger than the Heihuan sect. Even a Heihuan sect can make the Lin family so passive, not to mention those forces that are more powerful than it. Lin Mu suppressed the fear in his heart, and asked Chen Daojun in a respectful voice, Master, I don't know if you came to my Lin's house, but something happened. The sudden visit of such a strong person made Lin Mu extremely scared, for fear that the Lin family might offend him somewhere. At this moment, Lin Mu almost recalled all the offended people in his mind. Family. I shouldn't have offended the powerful family. The Lin family often came into contact with the forces of White Cloud City, and although the relationship could not be said to be close, it would not reach the point of being an enemy. Chen Daojun glanced at him, and then looked at Lin Wanqing, who was staring blankly in the distance. At this moment, Lin Wanqing's eyes were extremely empty. Apart from despair, she didn't pay attention to the situation here, or she didn't care at all. To become a disciple of the great elder of the Heihuan sect is no different from taking her life. Her heart is dead. Nothing in the outside world can touch her heart. Seeing Chen Daojun looking towards Lin Wanqing, Lin Mu immediately said, My lord, this is the little girl Lin Wanqing. Something happened in the past few days, so I was in a bad mood and I couldn't see you. Please forgive me. Chen Daojun spoke slowly at this time. Lin Wanqing, is that Miss Lin who is about to join the Heihuan sect? Seeing Chen Daojun speak so directly, Lin Mu was a little embarrassed. Their Lin family is also the top family in White Cloud City after all, and it is really embarrassing to encounter this kind of thing. In recent days, many people in White Cloud City have been laughing at the Lin family. Let adults see and laugh. Although he felt a little unhappy, Lin Mu forced a smile along with him. Chen Daojun glanced at Lin Wanqing, and finally nodded in satisfaction. This is indeed a beauty, with a unique figure and appearance. At least he was the most beautiful person I saw after Chen Daojun came out of time travel. Chen Daojun said, the beauty is not bad. After that, he raised his foot and walked over, and Lin Mu quickly followed after seeing this. But he was very puzzled in his heart, did he also fancy his daughter? If this is the case, it would be a great thing. This person in front of him looks countless times better than the elder of the Heihuan sect, and is even stronger than the Heihuan sect. If he really likes her, then he doesn't need to marry the old man of Huanzong, and he doesn't have to worry about Huanzong daring to take revenge on the Lin family. Lin Mu hurried to the front, and at the same time said to Lin Wanqing via voice transmission, Wanqing, hurry up and meet this senior. His strength is unfathomable, maybe he can save you from joining the Heihuan sect. Lin Wanqing was slightly taken aback when she heard these words, not knowing what Lin Mu meant, she turned her head slightly and saw two strange faces walking towards her. The leader was handsome, walking with his hands behind his back, with a calm demeanor, and a powerful aura of a superior person on his body. Seeing that Lin Wanqing hadn't responded yet, Lin Mu said anxiously, Wanqing, hurry up and meet senior. Lin Wanqing saw her father's respectful attitude, and when she thought about what he said just now, her eyes were full of anticipation, so she quickly stood up and said respectfully, Lin Wanqing, my lord. As she spoke, Lin Wanqing bowed her body slightly, looking like a lady of every family. To make his father so respectful, his strength must be above the nascent soul stage. If he is willing to help him, maybe he really doesn't need to become a disciple of the Heihuan sect. Chen Daojun stepped forward, without deviousness, but directly said, I need a maid by my side, would you like it? Maid. Both Lin Mu and Lin Wanqing were taken aback for a moment, they didn't expect this to be their purpose for coming here. On the other hand, Lin Mu frowned. Although he had guessed before that the lord in front of him seemed to come because of Lin Wanqing, he didn't expect that he just wanted to accept her as a maid. This is a servant. Even if it is a concubine, Lin Mu can still accept it, after all, the other party is powerful. But the maid. Lin Wanqing glanced at Chen Daojun. Seeing that he spoke so directly, she showed a bit of embarrassment. She did not refuse, but said with a wry smile. It's my honor that Wanqing is loved by adults, but I have already been accepted as a disciple by the elder of the Heihuan sect, and that elder is the cultivator of the divine transformation period. If you leave with the young master again, I'm afraid He Wanzong will be dissatisfied. At that time, my Lin family may be in danger. As far as Lin Wanqing is concerned, as long as she doesn't marry that dead old man of Heihuan sect, she can do anything else. And this one in front of him is also pretty good looking. It was 10,000 times better than that elder of the Acacia school. If the other party can really solve the Heihuan sect's problem, she doesn't mind stooping to be a maid. Chen Daojun smiled lightly and shook his head. It's just a group of ants. If you are willing to be my maid, I will naturally solve this trouble for you. While speaking, Chen Daojun's expression was full of confidence and domineering. Seeing Chen Daojun's words, Lin Wanqing knelt down without hesitation. Slave Lin Wanqing, pay my respects to the master. Lin Mu watched and sighed. But no matter what, it is obviously better to be a handmaid for this mysterious strongman in front of me than to marry that old man from the Heihuan sect. Chen Daojun took out a jade talisman, and then said into it via sound transmission. Chen Yuanliang, lead the assassin of heaven, and kill all the cultivators above the nascent soul stage of the Acacia sect. Although the Albizia sect is not Devil Dao, it is almost the same as Devil Dao. Chen Daojun is a little disgusted by the way he can act, and he doesn't feel guilty if he is killed. And in this world, the big fish eat the small fish. As a strong man, I can kill a few weak ones without any problem. Obey, Chen Yuanliang's serious voice sounded. Immediately afterwards, the assassins from heaven in the Vientiane organization began to gather quietly, and then headed towards the Heihuan sect. The efficiency is extremely fast. This was the first time they performed the task of the patriarch, so Chen Yuanliang was extremely dignified. It must be done. And in the Lin family, Chen Daojun turned to leave, and at the same time said slowly, I'll give you 3 days to deal with the family affairs. After 3 days, come to the Chen family in Dream River City. As soon as the words fell, the figures of Chen Daojun and the two disappeared. Lin Mu's pupils shrank. The Chen family. The Chen family who killed Yu Huahun, the head of 7-Star Valley. The person in front of him is the head of the Chen family, Chen Daojun. 19%. Chapter 60 Quiet. Lin Mu frowned. The strength of the Chen family is indeed very strong. I heard that there are 2 divine transformation stage combat powers, but they may not be able to fight against the Heihuan sect. Thinking of this, Li Mu patted his head. This is not the guard next to Chen Daojun, but that is the power cultivator in the void return stage. The mere Heihuan sect is not an opponent at all. But in a flash, Lin Mu began to worry again. Will the Chen family really let them solve the problem of Huanzong? How to solve it? Lin Mu was full of doubts, came to warn. After all, this Acacia sect also has 3 major divine transformation periods, so we can't just go head to head and destroy them, right? Lin Mu felt that the probability of this was very low. Judging from Chen Daojun's attitude, he really only came to the Lin family to accept a maid, and he might not pay a high price for the Lin family. After all, the maid is just a servant. Thinking of this, Lin Mu sighed. No matter what, as long as the Chen family can prevent the Heihuan sect from retaliating, then everything will be fine. Lin Wanqing looked a little puzzled. Father, this Chen family can't be the one in Meng City, the one that has become famous recently, right? Lin Mu nodded. It's only in Dream River City that they can have such strength. Hearing this, Lin Wanqing's expression suddenly showed worry. Although the strength of the Chen family in Dream River City is also very strong, she feels that it is difficult to deal with the Heihuan sect. According to the information she has learned, the Chen family only has 2 divine transformation stage battle strengths, while the Heihuan sect has 3. Father, will he really help me solve the Heihuan sect? Now that she calmed down, Lin Wanqing began to feel a little worried. Just now she mainly wanted to get rid of the Heihuan sect, so she ignored many details, but now that she thinks about it carefully, if the Chen family can't solve the Heihuan sect, then their Lin family will be in trouble. If you follow the Heihuan sect, you will offend Chen Daojun, but if you follow Chen Daojun to the Chen family, you will offend the Heihuan sect. Lin Mu frowned, and after a long silence, he slowly opened his mouth. The guard next to Chen Daojun is most likely a cultivator in the void return period. If they are really willing to help the Lin family to solve the difficulty of the Heihuan sect, they must be able to do it. Void return period. Lin Wanqing's pale face was startled, and her small mouth opened slightly, obviously a little shocked by this news. In her cognition, the divine transformation stage is already extremely powerful, not to mention the subsequent void return stage, which is even more unimaginably strong. Lin Wanqing suddenly became agitated, and her face flushed twice. If this is the case, why are you afraid of the Heihuan sect? As long as this patriarch Chen is willing to help her, Heihuan sect would not dare to trouble the Lin family. Thinking of this, Lin Wanqing thought of Chen Daojun's handsome appearance, being a maid. Under normal circumstances, it is extremely normal for the master to want to have something to do with the maid. Thinking of this, Lin Wanqing felt as if ants were crawling in her heart, her face was rosy, and her legs involuntarily clamped tighter. At this moment, she was full of thoughts. Hearing that the head of the Chen family is resourceful and young, he seems to have an extraordinary demeanor today. In any era, women worship the strong. Although the two have never been in contact with each other, Lin Wanqing now has a good impression of Chen Daojun. Of course, worship is not blind, just like the great elder of the Heihuan sect, although the strength is also very strong. But Lin Wanqing didn't have the slightest admiration, only disgust. Incomparably disgusting. Recalling the appearance of the elder of the Heihuan sect in his mind, Lin Wanqing frowned slightly, his eyes full of disgust. The gate of Huanzong Mountain is far away. The entire Vientiane organization has come to the 9 heavenly assassins, that is, the 9 divine transformation late stage. Only 3 people were left in charge of the human department. The head of the family values information very much, so he can't let the human department ignore it just because he killed a few divine transformation periods. Chen Yuanliang said, "Everyone, there are 3 divine transformation stages in the Acacia sect, and the strongest one is the sect leader of the Acacia sect, which is the divine transformation late stage. But the breakthrough of the cultivation base of the Acacia sect relies on dual cultivation, and its strength is relatively vain. When the time comes, Chen Chao, you will kill the nascent soul cultivator of the Acacia sect. For the rest, the second elder of Huanzong will deal with him, and the eldest elder and the head will deal with it. Remember, try to kill them quietly." Everyone looked at him with serious faces. This was the first task arranged by the patriarch, so they all wanted to complete return to origin, and they would not let go of any cultivator whose nascent soul period was over. Set off. Chen Yuanliang looked into the distance, and then his figure disappeared instantly, as did the other 8 people. After counting interest, boom, a violent explosion sounded, and the mountain where the Heihuan sect was originally located was directly blown flat at this moment. The incomparably violent power exploded, and many disciples of the Heihuan sect died directly in the aftermath. "He Fang, fellow Taoist, why did you offend my Heihuan sect?" The head of the Heihuan sect, with horror in his eyes, shouted loudly. But what responded to him was only the pouring supernatural power spell. 2 people dressed in black, with their faces covered, went straight to kill him. One person is in charge of the flame, and the other person has a sharp knife on his body. The head of the Heihuan sect, Yazi, was about to burst. He really couldn't figure out where the group of people in front of him came from, and why they wanted to destroy the Heihuan sect. 9 divine transformation late stages. Such a force should be extremely powerful. How could the Heihuan sect have provoked such a powerful enemy? Just as the head of the Heihuan sect was about to dodge, he found that several auras around him had already locked him. He turned his head and saw that the second elder and the eldest elder had fallen into a pool of blood. They have a divine transformation early stage and a divine transformation middle stage, so they can't resist the attack of the divine transformation late stage. Moreover, these divine transformation late stages are still so vigorous, if one of them is chosen at will, even if he is confronted alone, he will only end up fleeing. The head of the Heihuan sect was full of despair, and his aura became extremely violent. "Give me death." He was about to die and blew himself up. Puff. Chen Yuanliang stepped out from the side and chopped off his head with a knife. The aura of the head of the Heihuan sect stagnated, and the violent spirit power in his body collapsed instantly, and the whole person fell into dead silence. Chen Yuanliang ordered cautiously, "Make up the knife, cut the body apart." The 8 people nodded immediately, and then made a supplementary knife to the dead elder 2 elder of the Heihuan sect, and the head of the Heihuan sect, and chopped them into several sections. Then he quickly blasted those nascent soul stage corpses into slag, and only after confirming that they were all completely dead did he leave contentedly. Call. Chen Yuanliang breathed a sigh of relief, the perfect assassination. None of the killers in Vientiane were born as assassins. He is the only one who knows a little bit more. The others are just good at attacking techniques. But what effect does this have? As long as everyone who sees them is dead, it means the assassination is successful. If no one found out that they were the assassins, they would be considered silent. Comma. Since they would be considered silent. Comma. Since they would be considered